Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday. I hope all of you are good. And I'm here with my friend Chris from MarksmanTV. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. We had a lot of fun hanging out, doing that stream from your shop in Indiana. And just wanted to get back with you and hang out again. Awesome, man. We had a lot of fun hanging out, doing that stream from your
I'm
getting some echo through your
Yeah, I'm getting echo through too.
Just wanted to get back with you and hang out again. Awesome, man. We had a lot of fun hanging out, doing that stream. I'm getting some echo through.
Yeah, let me get some headphones real quick. Sorry about that. I'll be right back.
All right. We did a complete test of this, guys, the other day, and it worked perfect. But
Yeah, let me get some headphones real quick. Sorry.
I don't think Susan's happy with us today. We did a complete test of this, guys, the other day, and it worked perfect. But I don't think Susan's all right. Today. I've got my headphones on, so he's going to put some on, and that should clear it up, guys. I'm wondering if it's because I just came out with this. So I'm going to have these available soon if anybody's interested. I didn't show them until now, but it seems like as soon as I got this in stock, Susan decided she was going to mess with the stream tonight. So take a look at that, guys. Susan decided she was going to mess with the stream tonight. So just give me 1 second here. If I'm coming through twice through his speakers, I'm sorry, guys. You're not supposed to need headphones for the software I'm using, but just give me 1 second here. I guess this is the first time. Speakers, I'm sorry, guys. You're not supposed to need headphones for the software I'm using, but just give me 1 second here. I guess this is the first time. I'm sorry, guys. You're not supposed to need headphones for the software I'm using, but just give me 1 second here. I guess this is the first time. Let me see what I can do here. All right, I muted his mic real quick. We're just having technical difficulties. I'm sorry. I've never had these before, but until he gets back, I'm really proud to, like, this is really cool, guys. So I'm proud to announce that I've partnered up with Black Swan Tactical, and he has a regular 2A EDU merch shop going on now. And it's been a while. You guys have been asking me for probably the past year for merch, and I kind of didn't want to do it until my friend John Crump made the offer. And since he's a friend of mine and I really like him, it just, kind of felt natural. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, he already has like 5 or 6 products available. That's on Black Swan Tactical. And there's a link for that right in the description of this stream. So I appreciate all you guys. All right. Are you back on, Chris?
Not yet. Hold on.
All right. I appreciate all you guys. All right. Are you back on, Chris? I promise you guys, we did a complete test of this just a couple days ago, and it worked absolutely perfect with no headphones. I promise you guys, we did a complete test of this just a couple days ago, and it worked absolutely perfect with no headphones. Yeah, it's picking up when I'm saying through your speakers and then back through twice is what's happening. Yeah, it's picking up when I'm saying through your speakers and then back through twice is what's happening. Yeah, it's picking up when I'm saying. Yes, and you can also get the Flying Rich Squadron shirts. If you use my link, you can go over to Black Swan Tactical and get whatever you want. There's a bunch of good creators over there, including Flying Rich. Somebody's telling me, Chris, to have you mute your headphone mic. Do you know how to do that? Including Flying Rich. Somebody's telling me, Chris, to have you mute your headphone mic. Do you know how to do that? Are you getting it, Chris? Or?
No, I'm having trouble with it. That's so funny. We tested this, and now nothing is.
Are you getting it, Chris? Or?
No, I'm having trouble with it. That's so funny. We tested this.
Yeah, they're all saying it's hard to understand. And I'm hearing myself back through my headphones on like a 30-second delay. Yeah, they're all saying it's hard to understand. And I'm hearing myself back through my headphones on like a 30-second delay.
Here, why don't I back out and try and figure this out and jump back in?
Okay.
All right. It looks. Here, why don't I back out and try and figure this out?
All right, sorry about that, guys. We literally just tested it 2 days ago. I don't normally wear headphones when I have a guest on, and I shouldn't need to, so I'm sorry about that. Thanks for the super chat, John Crump. He said Zach Carr at Toxic Patch Company is making the FFOA patches for us. That's awesome, man. Make sure you tell Zach I said thank you, too, because I'm a smaller channel, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but a lot of these merch shops and whatnot, they require you to have like 1 million subs before they'll even talk to you. So it's pretty cool that somebody's giving us a chance on all this stuff, you know? All right. How's it sounding now?
Yeah, it sounds good. Does that sound better to you?
I think so. Let me know.
I'm not getting an echo anymore.
Okay. Yeah, let me know in the chat, guys, if that's better. Zach is in the chat. Awesome, man. Nice to see you. I have a couple of patch ideas, actually, so it depends what you're willing to do. I think there's probably some people that would like those, so thanks, man.
Okay, everybody's good. All right, I don't know what that was.
I'm not sure. I think it's because I showed this. I hadn't even showed it yet.
Wiki was sabotaging us.
Yeah, so if anyone was, you know, kind of my age, you remember in the 80s and 90s, everyone would drive around their truck where it would be peeing on Ford, peeing on Chevy. So I thought I'd bring this back, but with our favorite, Susan Wiki. All right. So I think we're back on again here.
Yeah, okay, good.
So I guess the topic tonight, and we're going to be reading the chat, so feel free for all of you to join in on this. You did a video just the other day talking about from like a shop owner's perspective, and shout out. He has a great shop, guys. I've been there myself. Make sure you definitely check it out. I can't leave a link here. YouTube rules, but use Google. You'll find him. So you were talking about from your perspective, how you think maybe ammo shortage 2020 and gun hysteria 2020 might be coming to an end, right?
I definitely see that coming to a head on the firearm side of things. And I can rehash a lot of what I talked about on that video in case some of your viewers didn't see it. But, you know, we get things through our suppliers. We log on to their websites. We add things to our shopping cart and get it ordered in as inventory, just like anybody else would if you're going to an online retailer to buy something. For the past year and a half, since really the pandemic started, their inventories online have been basically empty, and we've been relying on allocation phone calls. Those are phone calls of high priority items that our sales rep will call us up, let us know what they have. So once or twice a week, our sales reps call us up, let us know what's available, and we purchase them. Usually allocated items are things that are super high value and high interest, like right when the P365s dropped, those were always allocated for maybe the first 6 months. Or the Ruger 57 would be allocated, but you know, your run-of-the-mill Glocks and your Bond arms and stuff like that was never on allocation. But over the past year and a half, everything's been on allocation. What I've been noticing, at least definitely in about the past month, is a lot of desirable things like Smith & Wesson Shield EZs and Shield Pluses, like FN 509s and stuff like that are actually becoming available where we don't even have to go on allocation calls. We can just log on to our distributor websites and just order that stuff as much as we want. I just had an allocation call with my sales rep back on Tuesday, and he had like 10 P365s, like 10 Hellcats, 7 Ruger 57s, you know, available for me to purchase. And for the first time, I started turning them down on a lot of inventory just because we're already getting bulked up on a lot of used inventory and new inventory, and the traffic is definitely slowing down. I'm seeing this on GunBroker. We sell things on GunBroker, so stuff is not being bid up as high. I'm seeing an overlay or sort of an overlap between, you know, the higher prices that we paid people for things because their items were more valuable in the market, and we were selling things at break even or a loss because the auctions, we do penny start note reserve, so our auctions were ending really low compared to what they had been ending at 2 weeks prior when I made the offer. So the market I'm seeing come down pretty quickly, definitely on firearms. On the ammunition, I'm seeing a lot of people report that they're seeing a lot more stuff available at big box stores. Point Blank, Bass Pro, Academy. If you go on like AmmoSeek right now, you can find 9mm target ammo brass case for like I think about 35 cents a round at some places. So I mean, yeah, it's not back down to $12 to $15 or $10 to $12 for a box of ammo, but being at $20 to $30 is a lot better than $50 to $100, which is what a lot of people were paying just 6 to 12 months ago. So it's not there yet. I'm not saying, everything's back to normal now, but I'm starting to see the tides change and it's headed in the right direction.
Yeah, that's encouraging. Thanks, James Kawasaki, channel member, super chat. 48 senators sent ATF letter to back off the brace. I heard that. That's totally awesome, man. And Angry Fat Boy 1776 with the super chat. Thank you. So here's what I'm noticing. I think this is good news because it used to be where I think what allocation means is probably based on how much business you've previously done and different criteria. They just basically call you and say, this is what we have, take it or leave it, right?
And again, under normal circumstances, allocated items are typically only high interest items. Like a brand new release would be allocated for a few months because everybody wants them and they haven't been out in the market long enough to hit every supplier. And since I've been in business for 7 years, that's what allocated items typically are. You never see things like a Ruger LCP on allocation because they're just always available, things like that.
Yeah, so Band Talk. Shout out to the Band Talk channel, by the way, guys. He's a new channel on here. I enjoy listening to his nightly streams as a podcast. Hey, just go give him a look, guys. Seriously, I like him. But he has a good question. He says, is it more inventory or is it fewer buyers?
That is a really good question. So if we looked at Ruger and Smith & Wesson, they're publicly traded. So they did their earnings release calls, which I always listen to, as well as Vista Outdoors on their ammunition. I did videos following those reports. And that's one theme that they all said throughout the entire year is we're having a capacity issue. Our manufacturing is established to meet a certain level of capacity, which the market has always sustained. The market totally, blew up over the past year and they didn't have the capacity to meet that demand. And over the past year, they've been saying they've been increasing that capacity. So that's a really good question. I think I would, at least from where I was sitting as a retailer, I would say there are fewer buyers because I could just know what the traffic levels are. 6 months to a year ago, the traffic was never ending, and now it's slowing down. I even have some periods of having time on my hands, which I never had last year. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up because one of my best friends owns a gun shop right near my house. And I think people don't really realize how much feast or famine it is in the gun shop industry. So you had just gotten over the Trump slump where not many people wanted to buy guns.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you sold so many guns, you were going crazy. And now you have to prepare maybe for another slump. What's going on with that in your head?
I think that there is going to inevitably be a slump when you have oversaturation of inventory in the market. People have been buying to such an excess to where a lot of people have been buying things that maybe they didn't particularly need. And what I mean by that is if somebody were to come in and maybe purchase, they're going out on a range trip and they typically, my typical customer might come in and say, well, I'm going over to such and such range for the afternoon. Give me, 3 boxes of 9 and 2 boxes of 357. It turned into you have 9 boxes of 9 on the shelf. I'll take it all. And that happened all the time. Anybody watching this, understands that was the mentality.
Hold on. I want people to listen to you. I actually had tons of people coming in my comments for a year straight saying, no, it's not us buying all the ammo. It's the government's hoarding it. The manufacturers are refusing to make it. The consumers are not the reason. So can you kind of, dovetail off of that?
Okay, so all I could talk about is what has made it through the channel to retail. Okay. Anything that may have been stopped before retail because of government purchasing, government intervention, larger military contracts, I would have no idea about that, because that's not what I'm involved in. All I know is the ammunition that made it from my distributors to my retail shelves. Under normal circumstances, I never hear the words, "I will take everything you have." I never hear that phrase. But in shortages, everybody says that when they come in. I mean, and it's the same types of customers that I've dealt with for years, and I know buying habits. So it's undoubtedly true that, at least, again, the ammunition that's made it to retail, a lot of people are buying everything that they can get, and there's no problem with that. It's people are in the middle of a shortage. You don't know when you're going to see ammunition again, and you want to make sure you have enough to sustain your training, habits, and to make sure that you have enough to defend yourself and your family. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I actually, commend that mentality. I think everybody should get out and shoot as much as they can. But it is a reality of being in a shortage, and it's not just guns and ammo. It's any shortage that you're in, whether it's fuel or food or anything, during hurricanes. It's that kind of survivalist mentality. I don't know when I'm going to eat again, so I need to get everything I can right now while it's here.
Yeah, and that's totally cool. I'm only having you repeat that part of it just to kind of reassure people. Look, anyone who's been watching my channel knows I don't trust the government. Are they trying to do all kinds of things? Well, yeah, just listen to the former vice president for 30 seconds. But at the same time, we the people understood that we were responsible for our own safety in the past year and a half, and that a lot of times when trouble was seconds away, police were ordered to stand down from these mayors and city councils.
Yeah, they were.
So because of that, people did go in there, and in some cases spent their life savings, all of their paycheck, sold other things they didn't want, like sold their boat and bought $10,000 worth of ammo. People have been doing that for a year and a half, right?
Well, and the single best thing I can say about this, and you can say what motivating factors there are, whether those are good or bad, but the reality is over the past year, there has been an unprecedented level of new people entering the firearm market. I mean, that's good for everybody. That's good for themselves. I think it's a shift in mentality of people realizing they need to take their own, like you mentioned, their own self-defense into their own hands. People are finally kind of waking up to the myth that the police are not sitting on every corner waiting for you to call. And a lot of police officers and Cleos and stuff like that will openly say that and encourage citizens in their population to take their own defense into their own hands. And that inevitably also leads to an expansion in the firearms community and a more normalization of the, whether you want to call it defensive mentality, shooting sports, any of it's good. And just, I mean, the 2020 was probably the single biggest year in the expansion of the Second Amendment awareness and involvement that we've probably seen as a country in a long time.
Yeah, we need that. And thanks for the super sticker, Mateo. Guys, he shouldn't have to pay to remind you to give a thumbs up. So just give me a thumbs up if you like the stream, or just to piss her off, So, yeah, and that's kind of how I felt too, because I've been doing shooting videos. I did a lot less in 2020 than the year before because the stuff just got to be so darn expensive. And yeah. I'm reading the chat right now with ammo. Somebody just said a little bit earlier that they live in the Chicago area, and they said, well, it's probably because they have such few gun shops, but they're still not seeing any ammo. It's not getting any better at all.
Where I am, where I am seeing it the most, and this is true, especially in the gun industry, is large accounts. People who spend a lot of money are going to get preferential treatment. And so I know who my competitors are, and the larger ones get more inventory, and it trickles down. It's all the same. So if you're looking at your local, 1,200 square foot mom and pop shop, you're probably not going to find it right now. Right now, everything's getting allocated and sent to the guys that are dropping, $1 million orders when times aren't even lean. They're going to get the preferential treatment because the ammo manufacturers and suppliers need to keep those people happy. Those people will be pretty upset if they were to say, we spend millions of dollars every year on ammunition when times are good. Now that we really need it, you're parsing it out to all these other vendors who don't spend nearly as much money with you. And so that's just the politics of being in business. So if you're not finding it locally, you need to search online and at larger distribution centers like large big box stores, because I know at least my customers are finding it there, not even in Indiana, but in other states. I mean, I have customers who travel. A customer was just down in, I think he was in Mississippi, and he said he found 9mm ammunition and it was plentiful, and he was paying something like $25 a box, which I know, again, a year and a half ago, we would laugh at that, but compared to $50, I mean, that's an improvement. And
it is.
it's headed in the right direction. I'm not saying we're anywhere near where we need to be, but it's the first positive where I've seen the cost and the availability move in the opposite direction. It's a few inches, but it's at least moving in the opposite direction, which is what I'm saying.
Yes, I agree. And I'll just say this, Super Match G&A, Newport, Michigan, my local shop. Matt, he's a good friend of mine. When he knew the ammo shortage hit, he had a couple pallets of 9mm, and he sold it for $15 a box. It was NATO spec ammo. That was normal retail. He sold all of it at that price, and then it was gone. Now, what he's been doing since then, since they won't allocate to him, he's a nobody in the gun industry, right? He just literally goes to the famous places like AIM or Sam Gabbard, and he buys a couple cases from them for $29 or $30 a box, puts like $3 on top of it just to break even for the shipping, and he only has it so if you buy a new gun and you have no ammo, he can sell you a box or two. And that's what he's had to do for the last year a lot.
And that's a really, really, really interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up. There's been a lot of like crucifying of suppliers, especially the little guys that I've been seeing. I've actually had to make what am I trying to say? I'm spacing the word. I've had to move forward with the decision to actually not stock as much ammunition because my alternatives were to do exactly what you're saying. My alternatives were to go to large vendors that were actually getting it and selling it at a retail value or retail level, and then resell it at a higher price, which would price me at $40 for a box. I chose not to do that only because I was afraid that customers coming into my store wouldn't quite understand and I would be labeled as a gouger and things like that. I do know some of my competitors, and I'll be very fair. I mean, my competitors are my competitors, but I do know that some of them were trying to do that to at least get ammunition in the market. A lot of them were being crucified by customers for being price gougers, and I knew full well they weren't really gouging. They were just, that was the only way they could get ammo and make a couple bucks on it. And again, that's where we were 6 to 12 months ago.
Yeah, and it's a tough situation, but then so you get accused of being a price gouger and a ripoff if you're charging 40, 50 bucks for a box of 9. But there's the person that comes in there, they're buying their first firearm ever, they're buying their 9, they want to go take a CPL class, they want to learn how to use it, and you say, I have no ammo and I don't know where you can get ammo. That's just as tough on the other end, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, if you don't have the ammunition, we were out of stock on ammo, mainly because I followed that approach. When I got ammo, I got it through my wholesalers. I got it at a slightly inflated price. But I think my pricing on 9, and if I have any of my customers here in the chat, they can confirm this, but my pricing on 9 on target ammo I think it exceeded maybe $22, I think is about as high as I ever got on it. For the most part, I kept it around 17 because my suppliers were around 14, 15. So yeah. If people were getting the ammunition wholesale and marking it up to 50 bucks, that was gouging. But again, the little guys, the small mom and pop shops, and I'm one of those, we're not getting a huge supply of that ammunition at that, $14 wholesale price. Again, if they had availability of it, they were getting it retail through remember as well, the Federal and the ammunition manufacturers for the first time created their own direct to consumer websites this past year too. Yep. So they got out of just selling to wholesalers. They were selling direct because the demand was so high. So, that made it even harder for the little guys like us to get the ammunition. So we would have to go on, and I didn't do this, but they would have to go on Federal's website, pay $23, $25, $30, and then mark it up a couple more bucks. And that's where you got inflation with price gouging versus this whole idea of trying to keep ammo on the shelves.
Yeah, and this whole thing gets so thick. I'll tell you another local story. Again, Matt, and he really is my friend. Great guy. A Supermatch. So he had this pallet of Scorpio 124 grain 9, $14.99 a box. He was still selling it when the ammo shortage first started, and I was on here telling people, get it now while you still can. Not to panic, but just to help my viewers, because almost everyone on here are good friends of mine, good people. So then you know what he finds out happens to him? This one guy comes in there with $10,000, buys half a pallet in one sitting. His car's dragging and making noises on the way out of the parking lot. And then a bunch of other guys come in the next day and say, Matt, he's got it all on Gunbroker for $30 a box now that you sold out. And that's what happened to him for being too nice of a guy. He just fed into a guy that's doubling his money, and now all the local customers, no ammo, back to scratch again. So I don't know.
And that's an interesting characterization of the way markets work. The market will bear for an item what the market will bear. If the retailer is not going to charge it, somebody will buy it and then charge it. If there are enough people in the market willing to pay that price, then somebody, I mean, it's unless you're there and you're the guy who happens to get it at 8 a.m. And remember, that came with work too. That consumer who got up, waited 2.5 hours before the door opened, that was time and investment that they put into it to get that ammunition, which they then are going to go resell on Gunbroker. But the market will eventually pay it one way or another. And that's just the reality of how they work. And not saying it's good or bad. It's just, yeah, you see that over and over and over again.
It is what it is. And there's been a lot of people, and I understand why, because when people's lives are on the line, protecting their family, you know, it's a weird feeling if you can't get ammo, but people have just been so angry for the last year. They're mad at the scalper. They're mad at the government. You should be mad at the government, by the way, guys. They're mad at their, they're mad at their friends, their neighbor, the retailer, the online gun shop. Just everyone's just gotten so pissed off, and I understand why. But I think the message we're going to portray tonight is there is hopefully a little encouragement coming soon. Is that what you're thinking?
Like I said, you know, I think it's definitely headed that way. Go watch, you know, if you watch a video on my channel, one of my vlogs, I mean, just 3 or 4 short months ago, I mean, I had 8 or 9 guns in my store. 3 months later, I'm back to my inventory levels that I had pre-pandemic, gun-wise, not ammo. I still have a really bad ammo selection. And a lot of it's used, you know, for obvious reasons, but I am having allocation phone calls with my sales rep and turning away more inventory than I'm buying, which never would have been the case. You know, I would agree to buy anything that could fire a projectile because there was insane levels of demand for it. And that's just not there anymore, at least not locally with me. But yeah, I think that's all a positive, you know, outlook for the future. I mean, it all starts with returning inventory, and then demand or competition follows, which drives prices down.
For sure, man. And thanks, Gates Jr. Reloading, for the super chat. I love you too, man. He said, keep it up, go Brighton. I was just in Brighton, Michigan an hour before the stream doing an estimate. So shout out to Brighton, Michigan, and all the Michigan people on here. And I guess we'll give a shout out to the Indiana people too while we're at it, right?
They're pretty cool.
Dude, I love the drive to your shop. You just drive across Michigan, Western Michigan. It's all fields. You transition into Indiana. It looks just like beautiful Western Michigan. And then I arrived at this cool gun shop, and it was half empty. You had more than 9 guns when I was there, but not many more than that. You were like pretty bare, right?
Yeah, we were pretty bare. But now, if you come to the store now, we're starting to have to put stuff in the back because we don't have room for it, which is just a crazy change. And real quick, I wanted to touch on something else you mentioned, which is, you know, frustration, everybody getting frustrated with each other about all this. I also, you know, to bring up what they call the so-called Trump slump after 2016, so many gun stores and actually 2 massive wholesalers went out of business because the demand was awful. We couldn't sell anything to save our lives. I mean, M&P 15s were like on sale for $4.99. You could find 9mm for like as cheap sometimes on sale for like $7.99 a box. It's kind of a two-way street when it comes to retail. You know, the gun dealers, and I was one of them, we were all sitting around. That's kind of why I started a YouTube channel and everything. We were all sitting around, you know, praying for customers to come in and buy stuff from us. And then, you know, there was just such an overabundance of inventory that I hope people recognize that when there are giant shortages like that, stock up on what you might need. Yeah. You're not only helping yourself because you're getting all that ammunition. You don't have to worry about, you know, trying to, you know, get that ammo or those firearms when you're in a shortage, but you're also helping those suppliers who are really in need of business. So,
and that's what I did too. I mean, I was stocking up like crazy on this stuff, and people that have been watching me for the couple years know this, but it's just a reality. I'm not blaming anyone. People do what they do, but fear sells on here. Encouragement, not so much, but this is where I'm going to encourage you guys again. I'm not bragging. It's encouragement. And if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know this, because I was letting you guys know right at the beginning of this flu, this whatever. This was available at the very beginning, last year, like in March. I was buying this for $6.19 a box all day long. Whether you like steel or not, it's besides the point. And I was spending like $16.50 for 100 rounds of brass case. And I bought as much as I could, and I've used a lot of it since then. So, look, here's the thing, guys. It's okay that you're mad. It's what happened for the last year. But just remember this, and don't forget, I'm not saying this will be $16 again in another year, but if this ever comes down to $25, $30 again, this is 100 rounds, 2 boxes, guys, 2 boxes here. But if this is $30 again, you might want to get more than 1 or 2 for the next craziness, right? Are you still there? You froze for a second, I think.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm catching up in the chat.
MaxShot62, thanks for the super chat, man, and being a channel member. He says, 2-way EDU, MarksmanTV. I got Kalashnikov, and I'm loving it. Thanks, Chris, for the 3 I sent your way.
Well, thank you. I really
for all you do,
that.
buddy.
Thank you.
It sounds like he sent you some guns, right?
Yes, he did.
Awesome. And I don't know how much we can talk about on here, but
I'm letting you lead that. That's up to you.
Chris has a really nice service, okay? We're not selling anything on here, Susan, whatsoever, but he does have a program where you can send him pictures of your gun. He'll appraise it for you. After that, you can do one of 2 things. You can use that appraisal to get a better price at your local gun shop, and he encourages that. Mm-hmm. Or you can make arrangements with him, and he'll send you ACH or a check, and then you'll send it to him. Is that kind of how that goes?
Yeah, well, we send a shipping label, and then we receive it, make sure it's as described. And if we did it the other way, we would probably go out of business for being scammed to death. But
okay, I said that a little bit backwards.
Everybody understands that. Yeah. So yeah, you provide information about your firearm, upload some photos. We make you an offer, which is printable. We encourage people to go shop the offer and get themselves a better deal, because we're not always going to be the highest on everything. There are certain things in our market that are not as desirable as things might be in other markets. Okay, you can't get a better deal. That's fine. Go back to our website, accept our offer. You're generated a shipping label. You send it to us, and we pay you for the firearm. And so. Pretty simple, and we launched it about 3 months ago, and it's gone very, very, very well. And I'm very appreciative to everybody who's used it, whether they've sold us stuff or not. Just by using it, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and here's how I know it's legit, guys. First of all, I know Chris personally, so there you go. MaxShot, perfect example. This is a local guy. I know him face to face. He lives just down the road. He's a happy 3-time, what do we call it, customer or seller, and he's very happy too. So I've heard from a lot of friends of mine that watch my channel. They're like, dude, your buddy Chris really treated me good, and they were really happy.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I don't know if I passed this on to you, but there was another local person who they got the offer from you, which they appreciated, but they wanted to do business locally, and you were able to get them $50 more, and they appreciated you for that too.
Oh, and that's the idea. I mean, it's community oriented. I'm not going to lie and say we don't benefit from it. I mean, of course we do, but at the same time, when we designed it, we wanted it to be beneficial, even if we're not getting the business. So there's value in using it either way. And, we get a lot of people, or we hear really bad stories about people, taking a state collection and taking it to a pawn shop and getting, $50 for like $1,500 Luger and stuff like that. So we may not be the highest on all items. Some items we might be the highest on, but we're not going to be at such a low point to where, as long as you start that off with your base, take it to a few gun stores, at least you're not going to accept anything below that, and save people from getting in real bad trouble with, getting rid of some priceless stuff that's, that they get hosed on.
Yeah, you know what my first fear is? My worst fear? And my beautiful wife, and she is beautiful, is probably watching right now, but my worst fear is if I were to suddenly pass away, and then my wife sells all my guns for what I told her I paid for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Honey, look at this gun. It was only $50. I mean, what did you do buying more guns? Oh, I got them so cheap. They were basically free, right?
And at our store for $5, we'll print whatever you want it to say on the receipt.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Angry Fat Boy with the super chat. Thanks, man. He says, thank God that ammo is getting somewhat cheaper. I agree. P.S. I have a Taurus G3, best gun ever. What do you think of Taurus is? I mean, in your shop and elsewhere.
Taurus is?
Yeah.
In terms of just what's my thought on the brand or how they do in terms of retail, or
yeah, a lot of my viewers love Taurus. So
yeah.
What do you think about them? You've done reviews.
Taurus. So Taurus, I was very lukewarm on until the G2C.
Me too.
When they came out, I think that they did a really, really, really great job serving that segment of the market. There's a really good book put out, and I'm a huge Glock. I'm wearing a Glock shirt right now, but I'm going to dig on Glock a little bit, so I'm allowed to because I'm a Glock fanboy. There's a really good book written by Paul Barrett called Glock: The Rise of America's Handgun. I don't know if anybody's read it. It's a quick read, but he goes into the history of Glock, and at some point in the book, he talked about the cost, and it really only costed Glock at the time, I don't know what it is now, about $150 for them to manufacture, produce, and market one of their pistols. And when they were putting these guns out into the marketplace, they came up with the decision of, do we sell these as a $200 or $300 firearm and get this kind of perception of us being a cheap brand, or do we sell them at $500 and get the perception of us being a more lucrative or a little bit more valued brand, or what I want to say, a better brand. And so they went with the latter, and the price point is $500 to $600 on most things, but it's really not costing them anywhere near that to manufacture them. They could sell them at $300 and be doubling their money, 100% margin. So it's really hard to get lost in the shuffle when you're looking strictly at price point. And I know a lot of consumers do that. They look at a price and immediately think, if it's a $280 gun, it's garbage. When you look at Taurus, the G2C especially, there's a lot of their products I don't like, but the G2C and then the G3 and that whole line that they've done, you really do feel like you're getting a lot for your money. I really do feel that way. I've sold a ton of those in my store. A lot of my customers who have owned them and shot them and everything just absolutely love them, and I never really hear bad about them. Just so long as you don't have to deal with their customer service, which is pretty awful. I've been through it a couple of times.
It's been getting better though lately since they have that Georgia facility.
Has it been better?
I've had to deal with them personally in the last year, and it was better. I'll say that.
Okay, well that's good. It's been my worst experience was about 3 or 4 years ago, but I think they were in the middle of that big lawsuit. I actually wrote off my gun as just, I'm never going to get it back until one day, actually it was a 709 and they sent me a G2C one day out of the blue. And so that was nice, but it was like literally 14 or 15 months to get it back.
Well, and they did move from Miami, Florida, which real estate's very restrictive there. Mm-hmm. They moved to Bainbridge, Georgia, made their facility way bigger. They have way more customer service reps, way more repair technicians. So I think just literally within the past year, it's getting better every day. I'm not saying it's perfect, but
that's good to know. And I haven't had to use their customer service in about 3 years. So that's also a good thing to say about them, because in my shop, if we sell a firearm, we will not replace it or give a refund if it has issues, because they're all under factory warranty. But what we will do, and what a lot of other shops don't do, I know not all of them don't do this, but we will take it off your hands. We will contact Taurus or Glock or Smith. We will send it back for you. We will have it returned to us. We will do your transfer back to you for free. So we'll do all the legwork for you.
Dude, that's incredible. Hardly any gun shops do that.
Yeah, we do all of that. And I've not had a Taurus brought back to me to have that done since that 709.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, guys. Look, a lot of you come in the comments and say, dude, Taurus screwed me so bad on customer service. I believe you. And I'm glad Chris brought that up. I'm not saying this is the best company ever. They've always been perfect. No, they haven't been. They've been terrible on things, lawsuits. But it really has their customer service has gotten pretty darn good. So
that's good to know.
Nicholas with the super chat, Michigan guy and a channel member. Thanks, man. And I think this is good advice. He says, always buy when it's available and at a good price. Even if you don't need it, buy it if you can, because you'll regret it later if you don't.
Agreed.
Heck yeah. Denny's Plant-Based Journey, another good channel supporter here. He has a question for you. When's the next 5 used gun vids? Really enjoy showing the variety of firearms you get in.
You mean the next 5 episodes or the next video with 5 guns? But the next video, I try and get those out Sunday morning. For the past year, I have done one every single week, which is called the Weekly Used Gun Review. The past month, I have been doing one about every 2 weeks because I have a brand new baby that keeps me up half the night and a website that keeps me busy during the day. So things are really tough, and those videos do take some time to kind of, coordinate and, get the guns in that I want to use and film and edit and all that. So they're a little bit slower. So I'm going to try really hard to get one filmed tomorrow. I'm not making any promises, and upload it Sunday. But if not, I'll definitely have one up the following week. So I'm trying to at least do one every 2 weeks right now.
So you hear that, guys? We're really lucky to have him here. He's a bigger channel than me, but if any of you have never heard of the Marksman TV channel, it's in the link. There's a link in the description of this video. And I've been watching his videos for a long time. Really good channel that I recommend. So
thank you.
Oh, yeah. James Kawasaki with a super chat and a channel member. Thank you. And you can definitely get an amen from me. God is good all the time. I agree, man. Thank you. And we're kind of, I'm sorry, Chris.
Oh, I just said agreed.
Heck yeah, man. And we're kind of trying to have this be an interactive chat. So questions for me, questions for Marksman, for Chris here, just let me know. I'll pin it up there. He has a lot of experience I don't have. So get those questions in while you guys still can.
He said, let's see. 5 came from Exodus. Sorry, don't know where the 5. Oh, I think he made it. I think he just wanted to know when the next video was. But yeah, that'll be either Sunday or a week from Sunday, I promise. One of those two. But thank you for being interested in watching them.
Cool. DLD After Dark, shout out to you and your channel. Thanks, man. He's just reminding us to keep up the hard work and always remember to have some fun, too. Now, what about this? Max Shot 62, the F-15 fighter jet. That's the former vice president just came on talking about that again. Nukes and F-15 fighter jets.
Once we get our gun and ammunition thing under control, I'm going to look into F-15s. I think there's going to be a market for those pretty soon.
And there should be, because here's a big myth that he's trying to lie, and I need you guys to know this. The Second Amendment just literally says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, 1776, and around that time, civilians owned, yes, they owned cannons.
They did, and you can own a cannon today.
Yes, you can still own it. They owned warships then, actually, that the First Continental Congress and Army actually hired out some of the civilian warships, and they were used in the Revolutionary War. So it's just factually not true. You've always been allowed to own a cannon. You can still own a machine gun. Chris just showed one of his recent purchases a couple days ago, right?
Mm-hmm. You can own hand grenades. You can own tanks with live barrels. You can own, I don't even think there's any law. People always say, well, you can't own Hellfire missiles. I don't even know if there's a law that says you can't. I just think that they're prohibitively expensive and there's nobody that'll sell one to you. Maybe there's an ordinance written somewhere that you can't own a Hellfire missile, but
sure.
There's a lot of stuff you can own. It's just incredibly expensive and very difficult to get. But like hand grenades or RPGs with live rockets. You can own those. You just got to find them and pay the tax stamp for them.
Yes, and we shouldn't have to pay the tax stamp. The NFA is unconstitutional. But we just need to keep dispelling this myth that the Founding Fathers didn't own cannons. Of course they own cannons. They beat the largest military superpower in the world. So, of course, obviously, they had arms back then, right?
I'm also going to say you don't need F-15s and nukes to fight a very large government that has F-15s and nukes. There's countless examples of that. An insurgent military, you don't level with a nuke because you kill the population you're trying to take over. If that's what their interest is. But, it's all just sound bites anyway. We all know that. But it's funny. We kind of get a chuckle out of it.
And keep your heads high, guys, because Marksman's got you guys covered. He's got plenty of inventory. Swamp Dog, shout out to him. You mentioned Mississippi earlier. I think he's a Mississippi boy. Got to hang out with him down in Georgia. Now, he's asking a good question, Chris. Any thoughts on crypto payments like Tusk, which is the pro-Second Amendment cryptocurrency at gun shops?
That's not something I really know that much about. I don't know much about crypto. I'm reluctant to accept any type of payment in my store until I understand more about what it is, because I I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that because I just know nothing about it. But if that's the way the future heads, and that's how everybody starts doing transactions, and the gun industry heads in that direction, then like anything else, all gun stores and retailers and everything will have to assimilate or be irrelevant. So the market heads that way, then the market will head that way.
Yes, and if he's watching right now, my friend John Crump happens to know a lot about it, and his friend Rob. Maybe that's a good episode over on John Crump's
that would
channel.
be actually I would find that very interesting if you did a conversation about that.
I think it'd be a good conversation because I had a few talks with the co-founder of Touchdown in Georgia, and I think it'd be a beneficial stream if you guys would listen.
I would listen. I would want to learn more about that.
Denny's Plant-Based Journey, thanks for the super chat. He's asking you, what are you telling your customers about AR pistols and recommendations on how to deal with the whole SBR brace? Should they modify it, sell it, or not comply if these rulings go through?
Okay, first of all, I can't ever recommend not complying with a federal law. I mean, I'm not going to tell people to follow a federal law. I just can't, go out publicly and I'm a dealer. I have
not a lawyer.
I have an FFL. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to ever tell anybody to not comply. I'll tell people to do what they think is best for them and their family and any of their independent situations. That's all I can really say there. Now, in terms of if part of the question of should I invest money, and I think this is more of a pertinent question right now, is should I invest money in something that is likely or could become outlawed in the near future? Again, that's a personal choice. When it comes to a lot of these certain types of bans, I am not personally afraid of a lot of them, but I've always said that when it comes to braces and things like that, I think that that's probably one of the things that's most likely to change and again, what they don't even need to write legislation. They just need to lump braces or pistol braces into the SBR laws, which is what they're trying to do. Keep in mind, if you buy a pistol and you have a pistol brace on it, and they make a braced pistol in SBR, it's not like you have to throw away your AR pistol and your AR pistol brace. It's not like you have to go turn them in. It's just they can't be married together until you go file a Form 1 and get your tax stamp and all that, which is, it's still a bummer, but at least it's not like the bump stock where you have to just destroy it. So you still at least get to keep your property, but they make you go through the ridiculous. And we talked about the NFA. It's all ridiculous.
And you're not even recommending that they comply, but you're not going to tell them not to comply either. These are personal choices.
They're personal choices. I don't believe in encouraging people to do one thing or the other. I think everybody has an individual understanding of what is best for them and their family, and that's what they should do. I mean, there is a huge amount of risk that comes along with not complying. There's a huge amount of risk that can come along with complying. So again, you have to weigh out those risks on your own and kind of make that an independent decision.
And we are on YouTube right now too, obviously, guys. Now, I do have a new shirt, and I know I'm plugging this stuff, but it's brand new. I'm excited, guys. I get to do something with my friend John Crump, and hopefully for all of you. If you guys see that new shirt, it shows a silhouette of a pistol brace. This is on Black Swan. If you could throw a link, Linda, that'd be cool. And it says FFOA, Future Felons of America, and it shows a brace. Now, Mateo, my friend and moderator here, came up with that idea, and what the purpose of that was this. It's kind of satire, but it's like you wear that shirt in public, and your friend's like, hey, dude, what do you mean future felon? And then you explain to him how a piece of plastic that was meant to help disabled veterans now could have 10, 15 million people being prosecuted as felons. So it's like a satire / awareness to let people know what's going on with this brace thing right now, right?
The most frustrating thing about that, and the theme of that, turning law-abiding citizens into felons, is these products are built, marketed, and sold in good faith. They've gotten determination letters from the ATF. People have built businesses. Those businesses have employed lots of people and families. And then lots of people have spent their hard-earned money to go purchase those items. To be able to just turn on a dime and then lump them into a banned or a more highly regulated area of the gun market, I think is just sinister. I mean, I think everybody thinks that. But I mean, I don't know. It's, you're right. It overnight does turn everybody into felons. So your choices are maintain being a felon and don't comply, or comply by removing the brace and filing for a Form 1 tax stamp. I mean, at that point, those are the two choices. And it sucks to have to be forced into having to make that decision when you're nothing but a law-abiding citizen.
And the Senate letter, somebody mentioned earlier, 48 senators wrote and urged them to stop this regulation. There is a bunch of holes in this regulation. Like, so much of it's just arbitrary. They give you this points checklist, but even if you pass the checklist, they still can call it a SBR irregardless. And then they don't even give you clear instructions on how you are supposed to. Like, they tell you what to do if you bought the brace separately. But if you bought a firearm with a brace on it, they actually don't give you any instruction what to do with that. So there's a lot of holes, and I feel a lot of like honeypots and traps in there where it feels like they're just trying to trick people into becoming felons.
Well, and to leave it as open-ended as possible gives them a lot of ammunition when they're prosecuting people.
Yes. And thanks, Zach Carr, for the super chat. And I want everyone here to thank him. Like, I'm literally a nobody, guys. Like I'm not joking when I say this. Bunker Branding, great place. I'm sure they're the best people. That's Demolition Ranch's branding place. Great guy. They won't even talk to you unless you have 1 million subs. Zach's willing to make a couple 2-way EDU patches and Black Swan Tactical. So thanks so much, Zach. And he said, can't wait to have an F-16 to match my Gucci Glock. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe that's something you and Zach could partner on. When you become an F-16 SOT dealer here in the future, then you guys can, you know. Angry Fat Boy 1776 with a super chat. Thank you. He says, I'm going to the range this Sunday to shoot about $250 of 9mm. As an Army vet that doesn't have a lot of money, but there's nothing better than the smell of gunpowder in the morning. Mm-hmm. I agree, don't you?
I just went shooting for the first time in a while about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The first thing I noticed is how much I miss the smell of gunpowder.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. I went out and shot the GX4 like quite a bit, and I'm going to put the video up soon. That was just a lot of fun, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Our friend VA Wolf, thanks for the super chat, man. He's saying 2-way EDU, Chris, friends, great to be here. Well, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Somebody was asking earlier, that water-cooled machine gun, is it actually like, can you still hook the water up to it? And how's that going to work when you go?
Yeah, it's a live machine gun. So we're a Class 3 dealer, and we buy machine guns through our website. We don't buy SBRs, SBSs, and suppressors. I don't deal in those, but machine guns. It's just the paperwork involved in everything is so extensive on NFA items, which is, again, a problem with this whole brace ordeal. But you know, with machine guns, it's definitely worth it to me, you know, to deal in those. They're very, 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 very expensive. Again, the problem with the NFA. But yeah, it's fully live. I'm going to do some videos on that. It's water cooled, so you fill the water jacket with water. You attach a hose and watering can. You don't have to have the hose and watering can to shoot it. It just keeps, you know, steam from being observable if you're actually using it in a combat scenario, which I will not be doing. And so, but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
That does look pretty cool, man. Do you have like a range that you have access to where it's all like cool and whatnot?
Yeah, I've used a couple of different ranges that allow machine guns. I shoot at a friend's house, and so I've got a couple options open to me. My biggest problem right now is time.
I totally hear you. And by the way, guys, we all enjoy Demolition Ranch. I was just literally letting you guys know the reality. You have to have 1 million subs before anybody will put you on their merch shop normally.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, some will do it if you have like 100 or 200,000, but not really promote you at all. But that's why I'm lucky. I have good friends like John Crump and Mateo.
That's for Bunker Branding. That's like if you want them to do shirts and stuff for you, you have to have that big of a channel.
Yeah. And if I'm off, I'm not trying to misquote them, but from what I understand, you have to have 1 million subs to get like a consultation before they're willing to do your merch, you know?
Okay.
Mateo, another super sticker. Are you guys being stingy with the thumbs ups again? Look, just do it to tick her off if for no other reason, right? Yeah, guys, I agree. I'm seeing so many comments. It's all backdoor gun control. I totally agree. Linda, F-15 fighter jet pilot. How's it going? She said, I shot the GX4 the other day. And she did, and I can prove she did because she shot my GX4. So I guarantee you. So yeah, did 2 mags worth? Yes, she did. She was busy cutting grass, shot a couple mags, and then had to get moving. So back to the whole gun supply thing, because there's a few guns that I kind of put off buying in the last year and a half. So the first thing that's starting to happen is there's availability. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Now, how does that work from your experience to reduce prices? And do you think that it's going to be like a gradual slope, or are we going to see a cliff? Like, guess,
I'm saying it's going to be a slope, but it's going to be like a roller coaster slope. I mean, it's not just going to be one price one day and a drastically lower price the next. But I mean, like I'm seeing like daily fluctuations. And if you can just use Gunbroker as an indicator, they've always prices get the highest on there under auction conditions. And the pricing is on a lot of stuff has really been coming down. I mean, I know that because I deal in it, almost on a daily basis with putting up stuff there that I bought to resell. You're going to, of course, the first thing that's going to happen is supply is going to come back and exceed the demand. And that happens through, like somebody else commented, that happens, one of two ways. The inventory comes up over what the demand is, or the demand drops below what the inventory is. And I think that's happening right now. Which way it's going exactly, I don't know, but it's undoubtedly happening. When there is a surplus of inventory and a reduction of buyers out in the market, what starts happening is all the suppliers start having to fight one another to get customers. The best way to do that is by price. You could do it in other ways by offering good customer service or other value, but one of the biggest motivators people have is the price, especially when you're talking about widgets, which is, if you're buying a GX4 for me or your buddy down the road, it's the same gun. Really the biggest difference is going to be how much are you paying for it.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a battle over price. That's why you had places like Bud's Gun Shop and stuff like that thriving in the market, because they sold things so cheap. Well, that's where most people bought their stuff. And over the past year, what there's been is a massive surplus of buyers and a reduction of inventory. So that's given the retailers a lot of power over where to price their items, and the prices have gone up as a result of that. So again, the one dynamic that needs to change to shift the pricing is a reduction in demand. And I think we're seeing that right now happening, and it's happening quickly.
Okay, so what about, this is another thing. People have said this in my comments about the last couple weeks. It started to come in. They're like, dude, I bet you all these noobs that just went like balls to the walls and they had no guns. They had no guns last year, the beginning of last year. Then they bought 37 guns in a year and a half. They're thinking that 36 of those are going to walk back in unfired, but technically used, into the gun shop. Has that started yet?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of that. And it's not necessarily just people who have bought a lot of guns. I think it's going to come more from the people who bought just one. And the reason for that is the people who ended up buying 36 guns, they weren't buying those because they were necessarily scared and wanted to defend their family. That was their motivation at the first one, but then they realized, hey, this is a lot of fun. It's fun to collect. It's fun to own. It's fun to go enjoy them. They're really, fun to have. And I think that aspect really of it more than anything drives the collecting mentality. But you have a lot of those people who came in, they were scared. They bought the one to defend their family and all that stuff. They did not, under a normal kind of fear conditions, I'll call it. I don't know what else to call it, but back before COVID and everything else, they didn't own guns, so they didn't see a use for them. Now that reason for owning it in the first place is very quickly, tapering off, they're starting to realize, we don't have a use for this anymore, and they're one short, laundry machine repair away from bringing it in and selling it.
Yes. And I think this is going to help get the prices down, because someone turns in their SIG P365, very popular gun. They resell it to you. You sell it as used. Somebody may be buying that slightly used gun before the new one.
They will,
so you're not going to be buying as many new guns from SIG. Maybe the price comes down, kind of.
That's true. We saw this. I mean, a perfect example of this was 2015 to 2016. So under Obama, there was this nonstop purchasing going on. I mean, it wasn't always super high in terms of demand, but people were buying a lot of stuff in those 8 years, especially in the last 4 years. When this so-called threat of gun control stopped, which was, President Trump being elected, And that's what kind of the reaction was. It was an overnight plummeting of demand. I mean, you could feel, like you said, a cliff. That was a cliff if I've ever seen one. It was overnight. People just stopped buying guns because the reason for getting them in the first place had gone away, and that was fear of legislation. Just like I think the reason for all the panic buying over the past year for, COVID and all that sort of stuff is going away. It's not gone away, but it's going away. And then there was so much stuff in the market. The supply chain was just so backed up with inventory. People were sitting on piles of AR-15s expecting Clinton to win and the market to take off. And so, I mean, that's why I just, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, you saw AR-15s as low as like 389, 489 for periods of time back then, because there was nobody willing to buy them. Everybody already had there was so much fatigue in the market from the previous 8 years.
Yeah, exactly. How's it going, Frank? He says he loves the sticker. What's happening, man? Mateo, thanks for the super chat. Apparently A-dubs, and sorry guys if I can't read all the comments. We do have a guest tonight and we're trying as best we can. A-dubs reminds us all
in the stream.
290.
Nice.
He says A-dubs reminds us all the receiver redefinition comment period ends 5 weeks before the brace determination, and that's what's going on. There's two going on at the same exact time.
Yeah, the receiver thing, yeah.
That receiver thing is going to mess up a lot of stuff. That's going to affect your barrels, your slides on your pistols. I don't know what that does for an FFL like you. I mean, you're going to be in there doing.
There's so much we have to adhere to, and this was kind of what the whole rogue dealer thing is. How that's an interesting thing is, as a dealer, how many traps are there already to fall into and technically be out of compliance without even meaning to, because there's so many regulations.
Yeah, and then coupled with, like you just said, with this receiver and frame proposed redefinition, former vice president gets on TV a couple days ago and says, I'm busting all the gun shops. One little mistake and you're gone for good. Something like that, right?
Yeah, it seemed to be more targeted at people who are intentionally selling guns off the books, not running background checks. I don't know how much of that happens. It doesn't happen in my store. Everybody goes through background check. if you're not going to do background checks and try and comply, that's the most basic form of compliance as a dealer. So if you're not intending to do that, why even get your FFL in the first place? I don't know. But I think it was kind of thinly veiled and, creating this sort of illusion like every dealer is out there selling firearms without doing background checks. I would need to look into it. And, if I was actually doing a video on this, I would prepare for it a little bit better. But I would want to look into how many firearms used in crime and gang-related stuff, Chicago and LA, how much of that's actually literally bought at gun stores, or how much of it's, bought on the streets, or, taken off of car theft and stuff like that. Because I'm sure there's a lot of that too.
But it's a lot of propaganda right now, just trying to make it where all the rules for FFLs are going to become more convoluted. And I just took it as a swipe. Like, I'm after the FFLs in general, a lot of them, whatever. It was.
I felt like there was a lot of finger pointing, and I didn't quite understand, as a dealer myself, I didn't quite understand the reasoning behind it. But then again, like you said, it is when it comes to firearms, it definitely is. That's a great word for it. It's propaganda. Not a lot of what he said. This is what I do every day for a living, and not a lot of what he said made sense to me.
Exactly, and it doesn't make sense to me that there's millions of these you guys are buying all the time, because like you said earlier, because this is just fun too, right? And we should have fun. This could have to go through a shop, the way I read one of the proposed rules, right? And this is just a G19, G19 threaded barrel.
Yeah, there's an existing set of laws on the books. And there always seems to be a push to redefine things to fit under the umbrella of those existing laws, since new ones can't be passed in the Senate. So, it's getting really tiring.
It is. And my answer, he's asking one of the viewers, but I have heard people ask about this. What about 450 Bushmaster? Have you ever owned one, or would you get one?
I have never owned one, so I do not have much experience with the 450.
Neither have I.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're kind of striking out with you there.
Yeah, you know what I did last year a lot? And chime in the chat and let me know if any of you guys did this. I kind of focused on a lot of milsurps last year for my gun buying itch because there was still Tokarevs and all kinds of other stuff just kind of sitting there at normal prices. That Beretta 1951 that I'm going to have to do another video on, by the way, because Susan didn't like the first one I did, so I didn't put it up. But what do you think? Like, that's what I did. I just went with a few milsurps, which to me, they don't usually double in price. Some things get crazy with those, but they just kind of keep going up in price forever.
It's always true of any commodity that when the supply is gone, the value is going to go up. And surplus is a finite thing. I mean, if you're talking like a Polish P64 or a Tokarev or a Makarov, they haven't made those for a while. There's no sign of them making them again. And, you know, yeah, batches of them get imported in from time to time. And those imports get, you know, they dry up. But the supply is what the supply is. And so over time, yes, the value of those things will just continue to go up unless the market loses interest in it, you know, but that's not likely to happen.
And that was stuff that I was able to buy without feeling like I was getting ripped off. Space Texan, where's she going? Says, to be clear, I'm not leaving because of the entertainment values, boys. You're at least my fourth favorite, and that's including Steven Crowder, but good night. That's not bad if we're fourth in line behind Crowder. I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? All right, so what questions do you guys have? Let me switch over to this other chat because, unfortunately, when I do StreamYard, it does a thing where it just shows like every other comment. It doesn't show all of them. So if somebody's wondering why I'm not getting their comment, it's probably because I don't actually see them all. What's happening, Gray Man? How you doing? He lost what few marbles he has left. Nothing he says makes sense. That can only be the former vice president that he's talking about if I had to take a guess.
I find my own entertainment value in watching it.
Yeah. Now, here's my question I have, and I think a lot of people do. So let's just say, like, and I've said this for the past year and a half. If you have no gun and you feel you need one, you have to get one. If you have no ammo, you have to get some. Mm-hmm. Even when 9 was $1 a round, I said, if you just bought a 9mm, you want to protect yourself and you have none, you have to buy it. There's no question. Well, okay, so beyond those people, what about people that just want a gun or two? Do they buy it now? And you don't have to give me an exact answer, just your thoughts. Do you buy it now? Do you wait until like further in the summer? Do you wait till next year? Where are you thinking with that?
Unless, there's a couple answers to your question. If it's your first gun and you need it for the purposes of defense, maybe your ex-boyfriend's a stalker and you just filed a restraining order and you need something quickly, there's no value on your safety as long as you can actually afford it. I wouldn't take out like a second mortgage on your home to get a firearm, but I know nobody's in really that big desperation. Like we talked about, Taurus G2C, excellent for the money, really good for the money. If it's like your 5th, your 6th, your 7th, your 30th, and you just want something as a collectible, I guarantee everybody that the pricing will be lower than what it is today at some future date. I don't know exactly when that is, but nobody can predict the future. But I have seen in my lifetime, at least, this is the 4th time this has happened. This is arguably the worst. This is like the 4th time I've seen this happen, and it always comes back. Just 2 short years ago, people were begging for people to come in and buy their guns, even at some cases below what they paid for them because the market was dead. Look at how quickly it's changed to what it is now. Give it time, the market will calm down and pricing will be a little bit more stable. And I'm sure that's going to happen. So if you can wait and it's not something you're in imminent need of, I would wait if you want a better deal. If money is no object to you and you just want it now, because there is value in getting something now, then weigh out what you think that value is.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the scenarios you gave because value means many things to different scenarios.
Exactly.
If you feel you're in an imminent threat, well, what's your life worth, right? If you have 37 guns and you want the 38th, maybe chill for a couple months. I don't know.
Unless you've got a lot of money and, paying $300, $400, $500 more than normal is worth it to you to have that now rather than wait for 6 months or a year or however long it takes, then more power to you. I mean, it's really, again, your own personal choice.
Exactly. Ron Wayne says he loves your channel. Great variety of reviews and awesome info.
Thank you so much.
What impresses me about you is, yeah, you'll have to look up like a date or something because who can literally remember all that? But I did one of his weekly gun reviews right next to him. He really knows all this stuff, guys. Like he doesn't like look it up and cut in between the guns.
I don't have much of a life outside of guns, and so
I get it. I get it, man. Pillbox Bunker. He just reminded me. I skipped one of his questions earlier. He was asking if you had that water cooled. Was that the M1917?
M1917A1, yeah.
A1. Okay, there you go, Pillbox. Because Pillbox provided the, transportation and artillery for Lamy. And we've got, I believe this would be like the M1918 here. Is this the 1919? 1919. That's the tripod mounted.
Is it air cooled?
Air cooled.
Yeah, it would be the 1919.
Yeah, with the boxy receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this would be the Ma Deuce here. So, yeah. He likes the old school artillery and machine guns, right, Pillbox? Thanks again, man, Ron Wayne. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me go up here. People are talking about all kinds of stuff. Overzealous, law enforcement. Man, this former vice president's really ticking people off right now in the comments.
I mean, it's understandable. I mean, what did we all expect, going into this? I read, his what was it called? The common sense gun control. No, they don't use the term control. The common sense gun restriction. Safety. I read that whole plan, and one thing you got to give him is he's trying to live up to it. But I mean, I expected this. I was prepared for it, and it's not going to stop, at least for the next few years.
Oh, I know. Band Talk. Good channel, by the way, man. He's saying if you want a mass-produced firearm, you're fine buying now. Something special, I wait. Well, that all depends. I might disagree with you, but I might not because we're not having an interactive conversation. Let me give you an example. Somebody mentioned an SGL 31. Now, that's a Sega, right, that was brought in by Arsenal USA, configured into its correct platform, we'll say. Those were banned by sanction from Obama. These have a cult following. So specialty guns like that, they're never going to go back down in price, in my opinion, and they'll just keep raising every year virtually forever. What do you think about that?
You have to remember, too, that in a specialty market where the supply is very limited, people in the past year who have been paying a lot of money for those are not going to willingly resell them at a lower price than what they paid. Unless they come up with in a horrible situation where they have to get rid of it to pay their mortgage or something. So if the market on a collectible item jumps up $1,000 because of this, and a lot of people buy them, all of a sudden the market's $1,000 higher, and it doesn't come down that quickly because there's not a lot laying around for other people to buy unless they're willing to pay that. Like Band Talk is saying, on a mass-produced item, if you pay too much for it, then a year later, there's going to be plenty more coming out on the market at a lower price, and you're kind of stuck with having paid too much for it.
Now, if he means special order, like you just want that special order Smith & Wesson modern production revolver, he may be right. So I don't know the whole context, but this brings another good example. So let's just say the Kalashnikov, very popular rifle, actually one of, if not my favorite, right? So here's what I've noticed with these panic buys, Sandy Hook, the flu one, whatever. So what you'll notice is during a panic buy, the Wasser, the Century Visca, I don't recommend those. I'm just saying those will go from being like $600 AKs to $1,000 overnight because they're entry level.
Yeah.
Whereas like a Norinco pre-ban or a Polytech pre-ban, it just keeps slowly chugging up in price. Those don't double overnight because of panic, right?
Well, yeah. First of all, the value in a like a Norinco or something is inherently in its collectability. It's not in its function. Yes, a Polytech Legend, I believe, is a superior AK to a Visca.
Great
is
AK.
Is it a 4 times superior quality? I mean, at the end of the day, an AK is an AK, but a Polytech Legend double folder might go for $3,500. That is purely because of its collectability, not because it's a $3,500 AK. When those were new on the market, they were $300. It was a $300 AK. So yeah, when a market explodes and people are looking for defensive items, they don't feel a need to pay $3,500 for a collectible defensive item. They are happy paying a lower price for an item just like it that's not collectible that can do the same thing.
Yes, and these are great guns. They really, really are. So let's put this in perspective. If they still made the Polytech Legend today, it was mass produced as much as it ever was, and the Visca. Okay, if the Visca is selling for $999, I can see the Legend being worth $1,400 because it's that much better.
And that's like the Arsenal Sam 7, which is a Mildred AK being made today. It's around 15, 16, whatever. Yeah.
So that's why, again, I enjoyed Milsurps pretty heavy for the last year. And then me personally, there's like the stuff I collect and enjoy as a person. But then for the channel, I just buy stuff that you guys want to know about. And I got, quote, ripped off with all of you in the last year. I bought these guns for some of them for $400 that should only be $279. But I did it because you guys really wanted to see videos, So I get it, guys. I've gotten screwed by it too. Band talk with a clarification, and that's why, again, it's hard when you're reading comments. He means something special just by simply a gun you don't need. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
But thanks for the segue, because I did want to broach that topic, where there's often this whole thing where I think people don't understand just some of these are false prices because of a panic. Other guns, dude, they're just going to keep going up, just like how taxes do. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
It's like when a market is quiet, buy your guns and especially your ammunition. It's true. You get spurts of surplus coming into the market. You saw those Carcano rifles. It just came in like a year and a half ago. It was just before the pandemic. Maybe it was even during the pandemic. DK Firearms and a couple others are selling those things for like $250 or $300, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
All those Carcanos hadn't really come into the market in at least the last 20 years, not in that volume. I had just been looking because I wanted one, and I was looking on Gunbroker for a carbine. I'm glad I didn't buy one. They were going for $500 or $600. Again, this was like a year and a half or 2 years ago. This is not pricing. And I was like, I don't know if I want to pay that or not. Then all of those dropped, and they were like $299. I was like, sold. So that killed the market on them. But now they're all gone, and the market's back up $500-$600 again on them. So it's everything is the supply. And now that those are in, how long is it going to be since another bout of those come in? And of course, the market's likely to keep going up on them until that happens.
Yeah, and I was kind of calling them like the 2020 Mosin Nagant, right? As far as the price.
I bought my first Mosin for $89. It had a bayonet and 2 mag pouches and a sling. And the dealer I bought it from had hex receiver Mosins for $10 more, and I passed on it. I wish I hadn't, but I did, because I'm like, I don't need $10 more for a Mosin. Come on. And that's the mentality people give things. Same with the SKS. When you walk into a gun show and there's 5 on every table, you always go on with this mentality. Yeah, it'd be cool to have, but I'll get one at the next show. And then until eventually there's no more round and everybody wants them all of a sudden, they're $300.
Yeah, and with the SKSs, those just got cut off abruptly due to economic sanction, President Clinton. And then with the Mosins, I think they were naturally drying up for the most part, but those got suddenly cut off with different sanctions like Molot, because Molot was importing a lot of those before Trump cut off the Molot imports,
Yeah.
And Matt Morrison, how's it going, Matt? What's up, man? He brings up another AK, the Vepr FM. Super nice, but $2,500, in his opinion, might be just a little bit too steep, right?
And that's the thing. Guns are just getting expensive. The market on the firearm, I actually had a talk. I was talking with a couple customers about this the other day, and this is so true. If you look at the gun market in the 1990s, the amount of people, firearm ownership was so fringe. It was almost like we talk about how, people don't want to talk about guns today. It was like even worse then. It was like if you owned more than your hunting shotgun and maybe a pistol, you were some like tinfoil hat wearing paramilitary wacko living out in the woods if it was the 1990s. Now, and I think it's a lot has to do with the normalization of it in media and video games and movies. It's really become a lot more mainstream than it used to be. And there are so many more people in the market. The market is huge. The surplus market is huge. The amount of buyers out there has gone up exponentially. And I think more than anything, that's what's driving prices up on things.
I think so too. And you're right, guys. And look, there's tons of FUDs out there right now, period. And we battle them every day. I do a lot on my channel. Now, there were even more FUDs in the 90s, in my opinion. Like, people used to, just like Chris said, like, oh my gosh, you have an SKS, an AK, 2 shotguns, and a 22. They're like, that's an arsenal.
Yeah, even people in the gun industry looked at you weird for that. And now that's become the normal thing. I mean, having a big arsenal is kind of like a cool status in this industry now. And I hate to use the word arsenal, collection.
Well, you're using arsenal tongue in cheek, like how they do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's arsenal has gotten such a bad connotation with it.
I wear that with a badge of honor. Heck yeah, it's an arsenal. Yeah. Come and get it. You know.
I collect them because I enjoy them. I don't, I'm not trying to amass a military stockpile. It's the way it's normally talked about. But, it's an interesting dynamic shift that a lot of people haven't really noticed. And that's really a huge fundamental difference. And I think one of the best things about this argument, and maybe why the culture has gotten so big and popular, that the counterculture is growing at a similar pace. It's just really, really interesting to watch, and it's a good thing overall, but it has caused prices on stuff to go up because there's way more people wanting to buy it.
Yeah. And I've said it 1,000 times. I understand why all of you want to keep buying guns. I do too. I'm just like the rest of you for many reasons. I like to collect. I like to recreationally shoot, but the most important reason, I truly believe the Second Amendment is put there to protect all the rest. And it was put there to fight off a tyrannical government. And I believe we, the people, combined should be more well-armed than the standing army. And I think it's encouraging all of these good people are buying so many guns, don't you?
I mean, absolutely. And like I said, the fact that 8 to 12 million new first-time buyers join the ranks, even if they don't all stay in the gun community and maybe sell off what they bought, they're not all going to do that. And I know of at least several customers I have that are like completely hardcore into guns now, and they bought their first one, back in March of 2020, and now they're like on their 15th already, and just like super excited about it, which is awesome. So I mean, I'll take it. As somebody who loves this community, I want anybody to get involved in it, even if you're just one gun, a recreational shooter, even if you just want that shotgun to go hunting with. Any of it's great, and just don't make it so taboo. It's not. It's like when I first got into guns. Prior to that, I had this weird, unanswerable uneasiness and fear about them, and it was mainly because it was something I did not understand. It's something that can be dangerous if you're not careful or respectful of what it is.
Yeah.
But once I went shooting for the first time and got into it myself, all of that fear went away, and it became something completely manageable, enjoyable, and something I really wanted to be a part of. And then you get into the community too, and the community aspect of the Second Amendment's awesome. I mean, everybody's so supportive of one another. Everybody just wants what's best for their country and for their family, and that's really the best thing about it. And I think people find that out when they get into it.
And it is normal, guys. It's completely normal to own firearms and to be an enthusiast and to want to protect yourself, your family. Actually, your duty, the most important thing is really to protect your country. And people were doing this before the United States was a country. And when the British came and they were going to come in and take their arms, that's one of the main reasons why this country was formed. And I've noticed, there's all kinds of new gun owners. There's some of them that are just as anti-gun as they've ever been, but they bought a gun. But there is some new gun owners that are like, wait a minute, you mean this crazy sleepy old man's trying to take my guns? Maybe I should vote. Maybe I should become active. Maybe I should hold these politicians accountable. And that's encouraging too, isn't it?
Yeah, and once you own a firearm, whether it's just one or whether you want to get into the gun culture, if you went out and you bought that one, just putting it in the closet because you were afraid of the pandemic, when you turn on the news and start hearing all the rhetoric about how horrible gun owners are and how gun owners care more about guns than they do children's lives and stuff, all of a sudden that rhetoric is about you because you own a gun. So you are a gun owner.
You're that crazy person now.
Now you're that crazy person, and you realize I'm not crazy. I just wanted to have something to defend my family because I was concerned. And wow, maybe a lot of this is hyperbolic and just politics. And I think it's opening a lot of eyes in that regard.
Yes, and just perfectly normal people, all of us hanging out. Remind yourself, you are normal. And these people that tell you you aren't normal, they're the crazy ones, and I would encourage you to never believe them. Dominic Cook with a super chat. Thanks, man. He says, shout out to you for staying true to informing us on these matters. And look, with me, you have no choice, Chris too. But me, you guys are used to me every week. I don't know how to act. Like, I couldn't act my way out of a wet paper bag. So you're just going to get me whether you like me or not. So thanks, man. I appreciate the encouragement. I do. And I even have a lot of people within, I don't know what community they're in, who knows where they come from, but people come in here every day, guys, and they'll leave me comments telling me how crazy I am and blah, blah, blah. So I understand that you have friends and neighbors telling you you're nuts. Just whatever. Keep doing what you're doing.
It's easy to turn people you disagree with into a monolith of some sort of caricature because they own a gun or because maybe they're a Christian or because they're white or something. And we're seeing a lot of that. But again, once you become that monolith because you made a personal decision, a private decision to own a firearm, it becomes real and it becomes unsettling all of a sudden. If you're at a family dinner and somebody starts talking about those gun nuts and you realize that you just went to buy a gun, now they're talking about you. And they're, you can't join in with them anymore and say, yeah, how about those gun nuts? Because now you're one of them, and you're not really a nut. You're just, that's how it's portrayed, and it's unsettling when it finally the shoe is on the other foot,
Oh, I totally agree. And I like what you mentioned too. This is a very personal decision, and that's why I do all the gun reviews, and I try to get into just the nitty-gritty of these guns, because trust me, guys, nobody understands more than me what it's like to go out there and work your tail off. I mean, I work in the sun. I work literally like a dog out there, for my money. And I understand what it's like where you're like, I've got $400. I have to make it count. I'm going to carry this gun the next 5 years. And I know there's some of you in the chat just nodding your head right now. And it's a very, very intimate decision. And that's why when I do my reviews, and I know Chris does the same thing, look, it's a very personal decision. You have to do what's right for you. Do all the research you want to do. Talk to your family. And it's up to you whether you want to spend $10,000 on guns because you're doing good in life and it's great, or you worked your tail off for that $400 and then now your well-to-do friends make fun of you. Just be confident with your choices, and it's a very personal choice. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I mean, all personal choices are again, it's always unsettling when you feel like you're trying to do the right thing. And I'm talking about the mentality of a first-time gun buyer, because I was a first-time gun buyer once. I actually talked about this in a stream, not a stream, but a video I did maybe a couple years ago. But I grew up in a very, I wouldn't say I might say anti-gun family. That's why I was kind of, always had this perception that I should stay away from them, and they were the scary thing I didn't know. When I made the personal decision to get into firearms, it was weird because it was like I wanted to keep it to myself. I couldn't be open about it. It was just this weird thing because I knew I'd be stigmatized by even my own family. And to some extent, I was at first. My family's become a lot more open to it, and it's now I kind of gone nuts and opened a gun store and everything, and have a YouTube channel. But it's what I found that I was passionate about, and I can thank a really good friend of mine who took me to the range for the first time. I handled one fire. I mean, after the first round was downrange, it was like all that kind of uneasiness about the firearm, the fact that I could control it was instantaneous, and it became something I really wanted to be a part of. Everything I'd always heard about in the circles I was in about gun owners are just rednecks and they don't care about other people's lives and this and that and the other. You spend 10 minutes in a gun shop, you learn that's not true. It's just all bull. And it's a community that I felt more comfortable with. It was a way of life I felt more comfortable with. And I'm hoping that at least some of those 10 million people are having the same realization that I did.
Yes, and if you look just in this chat, literally right now, these are the nicest people. And
oh yeah, super great community. I love this community. I really, really do.
Yeah, and I wouldn't hang out with them if they weren't cool. So it just proves what you're saying all the more. Mr. C, thanks for the super chat. He says, what I worry about is getting robbed when I'm not home. Have you ever worried about that?
Worry about getting robbed? Like somebody breaking in and stealing your gun, you mean?
I think that's what he means, yeah.
I mean, there's some, I keep my firearms as safe as I can. There's always that risk. I have an alarm system and dogs, and, I do everything I can. I think it is the responsibility of gun owners to keep things safe and out of the hands of criminals. not to let things get broken into. Also, if that happens to you, I still think that you're the victim of theft and it's not your fault. But just do the best you can to keep it safe and in a responsible manner.
Yeah, and I know everybody. Look, guys, look, I work hard for my guns. I'm probably just as broke as probably more than most of you guys, but I am privileged. I do have privilege that I want to acknowledge. I have Lamy. And when you have Lamy here, you don't really worry about what goes on because you're going to be good. So I'm pretty well covered. A-dubs, self-preservation is not crazy. Wanting others to be subject to the will of the state is crazy.
At face value, that is absolutely true. The argument is that they don't call it preservation of life. They call it selfish, wanting to just go shoot stuff and have fun, and that's more important. So it's a conflation of motive is always the tactic that's played. But yeah, the motive, and I've always said this too, the motive is not, that I inherently go buy a gun because I don't regard other people's life. My motivative is the regard of life. That is why I'm interested in them. And then the debate usually circles around, well, how much life is saved and how much, and it turns into that. But it's always trying to change the motive of gun owners to, again, create a monolith for what it is that we are and what we want to do with firearms. It's always never the truth of what it is. And again, that was one of the realizations I made when I became a gun owner myself. Like instantly, that's what I realized.
Well, I agree. I think that was a very smart comment. Tara says Marksman TV was the first channel I subscribed to, and I watch a lot of different channels. Awesome. Still thinking about that 2A EDU guy, so that's fine. Some people like me, some people don't, but I think most people like me.
It's a personal choice. If you like his channel, subscribe. I think he's got great content. I think you would enjoy subscribing and coming back for more.
They like the Marksman TV channel, but not mine, and that's totally fine because I'll tell you guys something. I've been subscribed to Marksman TV way longer than I've watched my own videos because I didn't even have a channel then. Dominic Cook with a super chat. Thank you. Thanks again, man. He says, in light of the Marjorie Taylor bill proposed, that's the one abolishing the ATF, do you think we have a chance to repeal the NFA and GCA?
I don't think so, but I'm not very optimistic in that regard.
Look, we're not just going to pass it like literally tomorrow, if that's what you're asking. So, again, with a chat, it's hard to tell. Okay, on the surface of it, in the next Congress, even if we took back the House, the Senate, and the presidency, no. But like Chris has said tonight, like we're all talking about, the more we keep normalizing and making guns mainstream, and the more people that keep on exercising their God-given and Second Amendment protected rights, that could happen in the future when you get to the point where the people are like, no, enough's enough. No more.
And
it's still possible.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the political parties like where the battle line is drawn on this issue. Because if you are a Democrat, you can push for what they call common sense things like universal background checks or so-called assault weapons bans. And those aren't such fringe ideas to moderate voters on the left. Same on the right. You can push for like the HPA and I don't know, what are some of the things? Reciprocity of concealed carry permits. These are like baby steps. They are not considered radical by moderate voters on the right. I think both sides are afraid to go to the extremes. And the extreme case on the right would be saying, let's repeal the NFA and the GCA and get back to ownership of machine guns and tanks, and because that's how it'll be painted by their political opponents, and it'll make them look like extremists, and they don't want that to happen. Which is why I think that's the reason why we don't see, people on the right pushing hardcore for the GCA to be repealed and the NFA. We would all like to see it happen, but there's a lot of other voters that are more concerned about it, I think. Just my 2 cents. I could be totally wrong though.
Yeah, and it just sucks, guys. Like, I literally believe everything I say. And if I was somebody that could just wave the magic wand, I would say it literally says what it means. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. All gun control laws are unconstitutional. And while I believe that, how would I convince hundreds of millions of Americans instantly to say, look, we need to repeal these 30,000 gun control laws? I don't know. I think we need to work on that, but I don't think, like, literally, even most of the quote the pro gun people in Congress are going to vote for that, like right now, right?
I think a great first step would be, and they always talk about bipartisanship, is just to say, let's stop trying to move the ball and just focus on addressing the laws we have, because a lot of the laws we have are not being enforced. People in and out of prison and, all that sort of stuff. And if we could focus more on those first, I don't understand this incessant need to continue piling things on top, which it seems to be where we always are.
Yeah, and that is what it feels like. Like they're just dogpiling on top of people. And Taurus, see, some people mess with me and are sarcastic. You just can't read emotion in these. So they said, just a joke, brother. Keep up the great work. So it's hard to tell. Sometimes you guys got to add a little LOL on there.
Yeah, there's zero inflection. It's just robotic. So yeah, there's got to be some sort of indication.
Good thing I gave the good answer, right, Taurus? Screw that, Taurus. You can just get the heck out of here if you don't. Yeah. Oh boy, that's funny. Zach Carr, thanks again, man. I'm really looking forward to those patches, by the way, Zach. He says the anti-gunners think we are all like Ted Nugent. Look, Ted Nugent, there's a lot about him what I like, but he's the Motor City madman. He kind of has that little...
say that. Uncle Ted.
Yeah, and he's actually a local guy to right here, less than an hour from where I'm at.
The media will always take the most extreme caricature of whatever it is to try and paint the entire. They did this with the NRA. The NRA only made up 5%. I don't know what it is now, but about 5% of gun owners, right? It's about, and not even that. I think it may have even been about 3%. There's about 150 million gun owners. I don't know what their organization subscription was. It was like 3 to 5%. But the media was like, this is, every gun owner has an NRA card, or the NRA is the face of every gun owner, which isn't true. And so there's different, everybody exists on Gun Owners of America. I really like GOA. Everybody, like in every facet of life, including in gun ownership, everybody exists on a spectrum, but it's always the most extreme that are going to be painted as the caricature of the entire group.
Oh, I know. But that's where we're here to encourage you, because look, we're perfectly normal people. We both have families. We both have little kids at home, beautiful wives. All of you do too. This is just normal. Like, we're just normal people having a good time hanging out together. And I want you guys to all remember that. Thank you, Alan. Said great show tonight. Rockford Ordnance, shout out to him and his channel. Another good friend of mine. He says he's been described to Chris forever and my channel since the beginning.
I appreciate that.
Look, you've inspired him. He says Chris has spurred me on to open an FFL himself.
I will tell you one thing. I tell everybody. I get people who are looking to open gun shops email and call me all the time. And email's better because my time is limited, but I do 100% respond to people who send me emails asking me industry questions because they want to enter the gun market, something I wish I had when I started. So I do take the time to do that. And I will always say that if you open a gun shop, send me pictures of you on opening day, and I'll give your gun shop a big shout out on my channel. But I've yet to have anybody take me up on that.
Oh, that's nice of you. Jonathan James says, I'm looking forward to my 2A EDU sticker for my trick. Real quick, guys, my Patreon supporters, my channel members, I really appreciate you guys. And I put up a Patreon post if you're over there, and a community post for members. My wife's got all this stuff ready to go, all the cool stuff. So if you guys could check those posts and try to chime in by the end of the weekend, including any of you guys that have just joined, just so we get your info. Look, just check the post and I give you the instructions there. I don't want to bore everyone, but we have a bunch of cool stuff and we don't want to keep it for ourselves. So thanks for reminding me, including 2A EDU stickers. If you're a channel member, I don't just have your address. There's an email in the post where you guys are to send your info to, and I'd love to hook you guys up with this cool stuff. So I know a lot of you guys like the stickers and all that kind of stuff. So awesome.
All right, I'm giving the 10-minute warning here. I got to get off here in about 10 minutes.
Right on, dude. Any last-minute questions? Chime in right now, guys. For Chris, he certainly knows a lot more about the industry than me, and I think you've offered some good insight on that tonight.
I'm glad to be here.
And I've just been kind of enjoying just kind of hanging out and chilling too, you know? I am going to. I want to try to go down to Indiana again soon.
You're always welcome.
Are you so busy right now? We're like, you're still pretty busy, aren't you, at work?
Like I've said, things are chilling out a little bit. I mean, we're busy. I hired a. I hope he's watching tonight. I hired a operations manager. His name's Randy. He's a great guy. He's only been working with me for about 6 weeks, but he's like taking over huge parts of my business for me. He's been working in businesses for a long time. A veteran of both the Air Force and the Army. A really cool guy, and he's freed up a lot of my time now. So. Come on down anytime. We're still busy, but things are quieting down. Plus, I have some help.
Yeah, you were really excited about him. You're like, dude, I have a guy that's like competent, turnkey, and that was like a huge breath of fresh air for you, isn't it?
It is. It's so relieving to have half the weight lifted off my shoulders. There was a lot of stuff. It was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, guys, real quick, that Linda put up there, Linda F-15 fighter jet pilot. If you're a patron, channel member, email your info there. Any little requests, we'll try to oblige. So I just want to make sure you guys get all this cool stuff. Rick Nieper, what's happening, Rick? He's been my fellow co-host and my good friend. He's saying hi to both of us.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man? He's been fighting the good fight too. We just had another 2A sanctuary county pass in Macomb County, which is like 50 miles from here. So that was good news too. So I guess in conclusion, before you head off, you know, there's some people that kind of join late and stuff too. Ammo shortage 2020, gun shortage, jacked up prices, whatever. You're kind of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Again, a lot better on the guns than on the ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm starting to see steps in the right direction. It's especially in about the past 2 to 3 weeks. I feel like the tides have really changed in a different direction.
So look, guys, I think you were very realistic, Chris, in your last video. Look, if ammo was $8 a box, that's because it was selling at a loss because of this perceived Trump slump. Look, I know Trump wasn't perfect on guns, guys. I totally get that. But it was perceived that he wouldn't do anything against guns. So prices tanked. $8 a box, that was lucky. If you bought it then, you were very smart. You won the lotto. Let's say it was worth $10, $12 a box before the flu. It might be 15 forever after this. Is that kind of maybe a good guess?
Yeah, again, prices kind of have stepped up during these shortages. Prices go way up and then they come down, but they never quite reach what they were. 2008, before Obama was elected, that was a big shortage. You could get a box of 9mm at Walmart for like $7 or $8, if I remember correctly. After that shortage, everything came back. Pricing came down to maybe around 10. And then we had 2013, 4 years later, just after Sandy Hook, and there was a big shortage. It all calmed down in about 2016. Pricing on 9mm came down to about maybe 12 a box. Now it's gone way up again, and when it comes down, you know, it's probably going to stabilize around 13, 14. That's just my guess.
But we're hoping for that because it's way better than now.
It's way better than the $25, $30 and all that.
50 even? Yeah. Mike McClune with the super sticker. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you. Denny has a good question for you, and thanks for the super chat. Yeah. Marksman, what about curio license to get older firearms? Is it worth it for direct shipments to your house or using FFL to avoid issues?
The advantages of a CNR license is, like you mentioned, if a firearm is 50 years old from the current date and and they have a CNR list on the ATF website, you can get that inventory shipped right to your house. That's going to save you transfer fees. It's also, some people like the peace of mind of knowing that the gun that they bought is going right to them. Gun dealers aren't handling it or anything like that. The negatives about it is you do have to, it is a form of an FFL. So there are some FFL compliances you have to come up with. You have to have an A&D logbook like a dealer would have. You have to log those firearms into your inventory. When you get rid of them, you have to log them out. And you can be audited. I don't believe, I've heard some back and forth about this. I don't believe you're giving the ATF the right to necessarily come into your house. But if they do request your presence at like an ATF field office to go over your books, you would have to go do that because, you know, they need to make sure you're keeping up with compliance and keeping your logs and stuff like that. A CNR license is also a collector's license, not a business license. So they want to make sure you're not getting it as a roundabout way to buy guns strictly for the purpose of reselling. So you probably want to look at your book and see if, you know, you're not like moving 5,000 guns a year or something, you know.
Good analysis, man.
So there are pros and cons to it. Again, you got to weigh out what's good for you, what isn't. And let's see, James Kawasaki said, same question. First 1,000 subscribers. You see that?
I'm not seeing that one right now.
It's up a little bit. Just quickly, I'm a little bit behind. I'm just going through in the next 5 minutes here trying to find a couple.
Max Shot 62 with the super chat says, God bless you both. It warms my heart to see both of you becoming more successful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I'm not successful, but I am having a great time tonight, guys, hanging out. Gray Man with the super chat. Thank you. He said, enjoyed the stream tonight. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Well, thank you, man.
Thanks for coming in.
He says, Angry Fat Boy with a super chat. Thank you. He says, hey, 280, I think you need to fix your channel bot because it's telling me some crazy crap. I don't know, man. I post the kind of rules, if you want to call it that, or the decorum for the chat right up at the top. So feel free to read that. Certainly nothing I can, you know, really address while I'm live, though, but I'll check into it for you. Thank you. All right, dude, you've got a little one. Is there anything else you want to say before you get off? Talk about your channel, anything like that?
No, just thank you so much for having me on. It was fun to be on your stream. I've always watched and enjoyed these, so it's fun to be part of it tonight. And we'll need to do it again. And thank you to all your viewers for coming in and being nice to me and asking some really good questions. And I hope that I helped clarify some things or at least gave some good answers to stuff.
No, you're very smart, and I had fun just chilling out with you and everybody. And make sure you guys check him out. It's MarksmanTV on YouTube. There's a link to it down there in the description. And if you guys are in Indiana, you should go pay him a visit and look him up as well.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Everybody have a good night, and I'll see you again in the future sometime.
All right, cool. I'll see you later, man. Thank you.
Take care, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys, I'm just going to hang out with you just for a minute here. Linda's saying, yes, please come back. Yeah, we'll do this again and hang out. I hope you guys liked it. Look, this is the kind of stuff that I would just do if I was by myself, right? And that's kind of why I do this channel. And I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of you like to hang out. You know, we just sit there and, you know, Chris and I would probably still hang out and we just sit and talk just like we just did for the most part. But if we can get a couple hundred people that want to hang out and talk, it just makes it more fun, right? And we should have fun. And it's awesome to have fun. Also, one of the reoccurring topics tonight was we need to remember that this is normal. And this isn't just like one or two people, all these stereotypes that a lot of you were probably taught when you were younger. And nowadays you're probably realizing isn't true. It's like, no, dude, like guys, girls, there's women hanging out in the chat. It's not just the crotchety old man that's sitting there talking about his double-barreled shotgun. No. This is the year 2021. Like, we don't care how old you are. We don't care what color you are. We don't care any of that stuff. Guy, girl. No, it's like, it's just fun to talk about guns. It's fun to talk about liberty. And this last year has been really tough for all of us for so many reasons. I mean, I almost lost my business last year. It was illegal to cut grass in the state of Michigan, right? I know a lot of you guys were wondering how you were going to feed your family. And at the same time, you saw like all the craziness going on. Some of you that live in more urban areas especially, you saw where maybe there were fires just down the road from your house and maybe there was chaos in the streets and you thought to yourself, this is crazy. I need to protect myself. And you were smart to think that. Now, a lot of you have been prepared for the last 20, 30, 50 years. And you kind of gave yourself that reassuring head nod, as you should. And you said, well, hold on a minute. I knew this was going to come and I'm glad I'm ready to go. And that's good too, right? But gosh dang it, I'm really happy. I'm really happy that we're seeing a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I liked Chris's video he did on his channel. And his message tonight, he's seeing stuff starting to come more available. And then when that happens, prices start to come down. Because there are times of doom and gloom, and we're going to have to keep fighting like hell to save this country and the Second Amendment. We're never, ever, ever going to be able to stop fighting. But at the same time, we should be able to have fun. And if prices are coming down, which I believe they are, okay? They really are, guys. We just need to try to just stay strong. And we're going to be able to start having some more fun again with this stuff, where we can go out and plink at the range and you can get back to the hunting that you like to do, because this is all fine things to do. And that's the advantages of living in a country with freedoms, where you can, yes, protect your family, these very somber, serious things that we buy guns for. Yes, but we also should be able to just go out and have some fun, right? I'm being optimistic, and I think that I'm going to be able to afford a little more ammo as the year goes on. I think it's going to come down in price. Maybe a couple firearms that I kind of wanted to get, but I had to put them on the back burner. I think those are going to come down in price too. And hopefully that's getting some of you guys excited, right? I hope so. So yeah, it's just the way it is, you know? You can't like sit there and say, look, you can't have guns without politics, because they're literally trying to attack our Second Amendment and take our guns every single day. And that's true. And you need to stay vigilant. But we need to chew gum and walk at the same time, and we need to just have some fun too, don't we? We do. I'm hoping times are getting better. I know the prices, because, again, like someone said, they didn't know that. Yeah, that's true, and I'm not crying to you guys. I'm just sharing with you. Just like I hope all of you guys share if you're having problems, and a lot of you have, because we need to uplift each other. This last year has not been easy for me, and I've tried to make the best of it. And when I tell you guys this, like, I understand what it's like for you know, life to suck. And I mean, I live in Michigan. The governor of Michigan, she's a real beauty in a different kind of way. It does suck, and I get it. But at the same time, we need to just start having some fun again. And when I heard Chris do his video, and he's like, guys, guns are starting to come off of allocation, I'm able to order firearms again, and I think the prices are going to start coming down pretty drastically. Now, he's not psychic. Something could happen he doesn't know about, certainly. But I'm just going to sit there and hope. I know you guys are too. Knock on some wood with me, right? I'm thinking we will be able to sit there and kind of indulge in buying a few more rounds of ammo and get some cheaper guns. And I think we should do that if we want to. It's a personal choice, and you guys will do what's best for you. And I always encourage that, right? Marco Polo with the super chat. Thanks, man. He said, good show. Thank you both. New GX4 owner. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Speaking of women, like I said, women are into guns too. Don't forget that. Michelle LeDuc. She's an awesome Michigan gal. How you doing, Michelle? You doing good? Look, Michelle, she's had some things happen in the past year or so, God bless her, that weren't so good, but I think she's doing pretty good now. Jane Locke has been in here all night. Where are you at, Jane? She wasn't doing so good, but she's on the mend, and she's looking pretty healthy nowadays, you know? Kathleen Music Lover. Crotchety old men where? I don't know, but you guys know the stereotypes, and I know you're all smart enough to know that they're just not true, but I'm going to sit here and remind you guys of that, because you need to be reminded of it. Because when you put on the TV, they try to tell you this, they try to tell you that, and they're lying to you. And if your gut tells you they're lying to you, you should probably believe yourself. Seriously, because you're probably smarter than they are, right? We've got Linda, F-15 fighter jet in here. Where's she at? There she is. I mean, again, like I said, there's all kinds of different people on here. There's people that are better looking than me. Denny's Plant-Based Journey, for example. I mean, look at this. Like, how could I even like classify you guys in a group? And I don't want to, and I'm not gonna. So don't let them do that to you either. Shout out to Scotland. All right, we got people from Scotland hanging out. And there's a lot of people from other countries that come in and they offer the support, and they say, don't give up the Second Amendment. Don't give up the free exercise of your right to keep and bear arms, because you'll always have that right. But we need to keep freely exercising it, right? Because a piece of parchment paper is going to do nothing. You're the one that's going to keep this alive. And here's the problem. If we lose guns in America, there's nowhere else to go. Like, literally, people from all these other countries, a lot of them look at America with a lot of hope, that there's still going to be some hope from the world. And if we lose it, Most of my viewers are American. I'm talking to all the Americans out there. You're not going to get it back. You'll literally never get it back. Now, that sounds like doom and gloom, but it's actually encouragement, because we can have a lot of fun, and we can also just be encouraged by the fact that, hey, like Ben Franklin said, you guys remember this? I know you do, but it's good to be reminded of this, because you've got some crazy sleepy old man out there talking about hitting you with fighter jets and nukes, and that's very disturbing for him to say that. That's very nasty and very sick. But when you're hearing that, you need to remind yourself of somebody a lot smarter than this former vice president when he was asked, "Sir, do we have a monarchy or a republic?" And he said, "A republic if you can keep it." And that's very true, and those are very wise words, and it's up to you. You want to keep this republic? I do. Then we can keep it, despite what this crazy, sleepy old man says and all these other people. Because you know what? There's only one of him, and there's over 300 million of us, and we are the normal ones. So that's what I'm saying, guys. There's a lot of stuff. You're going to shake your head, and it's going to get you angry, and you should be angry. I totally understand that, but you should also feel comforted to know that you're not the only one. It's a proven fact, and you're very smart, and you're very normal, and just keep remembering that, guys. Stuff's going to come down in price. I don't know. We're going to keep, like I said, we're going to keep on keeping on, and I'm looking forward to just going out to the range a lot more eventually. Now that I know I'm allowed to run my business again. I owe the controversial, highly controversial, and once illegal business of cutting grass and doing landscaping work. Can you imagine that? It's hard to imagine, isn't it? Hockey Bum 99 reviews. Thanks for the super chat, man. He says, love your channel, and I started following you on your surplus education videos. I love those videos. Learned so much from them. Thank you. Well, thank you, and I love military surplus, and let me know, guys, in the chat before I get off here. If you guys want some more surplus, yeah, I'd love to do it. You know, I have fun with all these firearms. I could just sit and look at them by myself, or I could share them with you, and that's what I tend to do as much as possible. Michelle LeDuc says, no, those men are not here. I don't know. I don't think there's anybody like that in here. She's doing better. That's good. Sometimes we'll just take what we can get, right, Michelle? You know, God bless you. I hope you're doing good. I do want you to go to the range, and I was talking to my wife about it, and she would like to shoot with you too. We need to get in touch. We just need to figure this stuff out. Here's what sucks for me right this second. It's raining like all day today, yesterday, and for the next 10 days straight, and with a business that requires it to be dry outside to work for the most part, it's going to be tough the next week or two for me. But before this summer's over, Michelle, I definitely want to. Like, I want to hang out with all you guys, actually. And we all have the best intentions, and then we just get so darn busy. It's like, But yeah. My screen just flashed. Hopefully that wasn't a bad thing. Mike McClune with another super sticker. Thanks a lot, man. And my other chat went away, but I'm going to guess. It's a tactical hippo, maybe. Thanks for supporting, man. I really appreciate it. Murphy, you're going to keep it. We better keep it, dude. We better. It's encouraging, isn't it? Oh, boy. Some people are talking about the former vice president, and it's pretty... It's pretty fun. We'll just say that, right? Jonathan James, keep your head up, two-way. I'm in construction. I feel you. Oh, man, the weather is kind of crazy, isn't it, guys? I did not buy the new GX4 shirt, Ron, because I just bought one of the new. It's in the 2.8 UDU collection on Black Swan Tactical. I bought one of the future Felons of America shirts that I'm looking forward to coming in soon so I can wear it. Because I think it's a good conversation starter. And I think people need to be aware of what's going on, because you'd be surprised. A lot of people walk around and they're like, what do you mean brace band? What do you mean nukes and F-15s? It's true. So just always trying to raise some awareness and a little satire, right? But yes, but I do have something, guys. I'll give you a teaser. It's going to be coming very soon. You know those G3C owners? Taurus G3C, real quick. You guys are like, when are they going to have the Toro conversion kit? Because they announced that they would have it, but we just didn't know when, right? It's here, like literally right now. So one of my viewers told me about it this morning. Hopefully they're still available. That's all I can say due to this one right here. You know, we talk about the governor of Michigan and we say she's a real beauty. Here's another one. This is a real beauty in a different kind of way. Anyone that's my age, you guys remember when these were popular? So I came up with this, and I'm going to have these available soon too. Susan Wiki, they call her. We used to be friends, and now not so much. What a shame. Her loss, though. Her loss, not mine. But you guys are still living me super chats. You guys are generous. Awesome. Thank you. And that's how I do bring in the content that I do, all of you that help the channel, which is nice because a lot of guys are like, we'll pay you this much for a positive review. I've never been paid 1 penny to do a review before. I'm just lucky enough that I have great viewers, so I can just like buy stuff with your help, and then we don't have to do this quid pro quo, this much money for positive. I'll just review the stuff that you guys are interested in that I think is fun and just keep it simple, right? The Reptile Guys, thanks for the super chat, man. He said, finally made it to work. My truck was giving me heck all week, all the way. Man, that sucks. Doesn't sound like these 100+ degree days, but at least I could listen to you guys. All right, cool, man. And see, like I said, all of us have problems, but we can look forward to hopefully ammo and guns are going to come down in price just enough. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm a little bit stressed out, it's kind of fun to go out and shoot a few rounds, and that's actually great stress relief for me. Very calming activity. Michelle the Duke, July 15th, birthday. Let's see what we can figure out in the next couple weeks. That'd be awesome. David Greenwell with a super chat. Thank you. A bit to help. I'm with the weather getting in the way. Thank you. In the trades and get it. Dude, it just messes you up, and then it just keeps like stacking on top of itself. Like, yeah. And I need to make up for lost time from last year. Now I'm going to, I guess, have to take a week and a half off. And if you're in the trades, you know how this works. It doesn't make sense, but it just is. If it rains for even 7 days, you don't get behind 7 days. You get behind 3 weeks because there's like this avalanche effect that happens. And sometimes customers get pissed off, and that sucks. Charles Smith with the super chat and a channel member. Thanks a lot, man. He said, thanks, dude. Missed most of the stream, but I'll catch the replay. Well, hopefully you enjoy it. I had a fun time tonight hanging out with MarksmanTV. I think he brought lots of good information to the table, and he's just a cool dude, you know? America the Free. I can say it, I promise, with the super chat and a channel member. Thanks a lot, man. He says, hope you have a good weekend. You too, man. I really appreciate it. And some of you guys, I feel bad in a way, like guilty, but hey, hopefully I'm just putting it back into the channel. And that's why you guys are so generous. Some of like America the Free, Patreon channel member, and a super chat. Make sure you sent the email. Okay, it's at 2A EDU perks if you're a channel supporter, because we want to at least like hook you guys up with a little something as a thank you. So hopefully you chimed in, man. Then I won't feel guilty if I can at least send you something like some swag or some stickers or whatnot, right? All right, let's see what's going on here. America the Free, what was the Winchester recall about? Thanks for another super chat. You know what? I'm not an expert on that. I heard about it. Here's what I understand. Maybe it was some weak loads or some primers that weren't burning fully, right? Maybe a squib load situation where it wouldn't fully charge the projectile. Therefore, it can't leave the barrel. That's a very dangerous situation, guys. If you ever shoot, and instead of it having the normal rapport, recoil, noise, like you add it all together, if it doesn't quite sound right, if it don't quite feel right, just like we said earlier, when the former vice president says, you guys are all nuts, and you're like, nah, that ain't right. No, you're right. It ain't right. Same thing. Go with your gut, guys. I've learned this in life. 99% of the time, if something obvious pops in your head, you should listen to your head. You shoot that gun, and it kind of doesn't feel right, doesn't sound right, doesn't look right, smell right. Maybe there's extra powder coming. Stop. It's probably not right. What can happen is what's called a squib load, and I think this is what's going on with the Winchester, where it's not properly charged, not enough powder, or a primer that's not igniting the powder properly. Same difference in the end. The projectile can't make its way out the barrel. It stops. Now let's say the very next round is charged properly. Primer's working great. It's got, 7 grains of powder. I'm just made that up, but something like that. Boom. It goes off. Guess what? A barrel is only supposed to be a pressure vessel for a very limited amount of time to build maximum pressure behind that bullet But then when the bullet leaves, which is all within like faster than you could blink, that pressure needs to come back down. Here's the problem. You have a bore obstruction, a squib load, a bullet that couldn't make it out. You let that next round off. That next round's hot or even partially charged. Oh, yeah, you can literally create a bomb, because that's kind of sort of, if you guys think about it, and some of you guys, I know we've got Marine engineers in here. I'm giving the basic definition. That's kind of the difference between like a grenade and a firearm. The grenade has a charge and explosion, and there's nowhere for it to go, so it destructs itself and sends shrapnel everywhere, where a firearm has the same explosion followed by rapidly burning powder, but it sends a projectile downrange because the pressure and gases have somewhere to go. Your gun literally can become a grenade. If you're lucky, it'll only bulge or bend the barrel or mess with the bolt. It can shear bolt lugs off. But you might not be so lucky, and it could blow up in your face, and your gun could go from rifle to grenade in 2 seconds flat. So I think that's what's going on right now. Very dangerous situation. And most of the time, people that have had squib loads, after they step back for a minute, they're like, you know what? Something wasn't quite right, but I pulled the trigger anyways. And I know that can happen, but listen to yourself. You know what's going on. Stop. Click no bang. Also stop. Keep the gun pointed down range. Weird stuff can happen sometimes. Can. And I hope I'm not dead wrong on all that, but that's what I understand potentially was occurring in a certain batch of Winchester. So, but that doesn't mean all Winchester's bad. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean you should ignore the recall, but it doesn't mean you should freak out and say all Winchester ammo sucks, because this happens. Should it happen? No, but it does happen from time to time. And if you bought Winchester like this here, slightly off camera, guys, this was bought so long before the recall, I'm not even remotely worried. So go on their site. There's a lot number, batch number. You can check all that stuff out, right? Matt Parker with the super chat. Thanks a lot, man. Nice to see you. He's been around a long time, man. Thank you. Somebody had a squib revolver they're talking about. You know what's funny? Jack Porton, and I don't know if he's watching right now, but my friend Steven Wagner, he sent me some of that Syntech ammo for the channel. And when you guys send me stuff and you're like, want to help out the channel, I keep it for the channel. You are going to see some of that Syntech that a viewer sent me, shot out of the Taurus GX4 very soon. It's already been recorded, actually. Now, I can't tell you how it functioned. I mean, I could, but then you'd have no reason to come back and watch that video. So you will see me doing some real life shooting with a federal Syntech jacket. But I will tell you this. I can't give up the whole plot line of the Taurus GX4 first shots at the range video. No, I shot it down in Georgia. That wasn't my GX4. I'm talking about the one I have right here. First shots video. But I can tell you I've been using Syntech for quite a while. And I think it's just fine. You know, it's been pretty good. I'm not like a huge fanboy with ammo. I'm really not. There's certainly a couple that I kind of are my go-to for self-defense. But I'll shoot anything. That's why, like, when you see this GX4, I think it's 5 types of ammo I ran through it, just back to back. And that's just because that's how I am. If this is on sale, that's on sale. Steel case, brass case. I kind of like all of it, to be honest with you. I mean, there's some better than others, but yeah, the Syntech has been just fine with me. No complaints. I will say this, if you're shooting like steel down range or even just hard dirt, you kind of see like a little bit like of a little red like poof. It doesn't happen all the time, but I've seen like a little like glittery red from the red synthetic jacket if that's the kind you're shooting. So hey, you might consider that a bonus. Yeah, it's a synthetic jacket where instead of them putting like, there's different, you could have copper, clad, bronze. You could have bimetal, which is basically a mild steel that's washed in copper or not. There's tons of things that jacket or surround the lead. And I think they call it TSJ, total synthetic jacket. And it's just basically them building up a synthetic, meaning man-made, really. It's not really quite polymer. It's hard to explain. It's kind of hard. I wouldn't quite call it powder coating either, although some of you ammo experts may say it is. It's just a different type of like red, hard, plasticky, synthetic type substance that they put on there to jacket the lead, for lack of a better word. So Ammo definitely makes a difference. And I guess I should have clarified in my context, and I tried to make the distinction. Self-defense carry, I get particular. Hunting, things like that. When I'm going to the range, shooting dirt, targets, plinking, I like to enjoy a wide variety. Now, if I was well-to-do, I would probably just buy top of the line and shoot it all day long, because who wouldn't? And of course, I'd rather drive like a brand new Mercedes-Benz, but I drive a 2005 Buick LaCrosse with no AC, and sometimes it's just all you can afford. So what I mean by it makes no difference to me is I'm still going to have fun with this at the range, shooting clumps of dirt, steel, water bottles, jugs. This makes no difference in how much fun I have. If your gun likes it, because if your gun's jamming up, that's no fun either. I get it. But yeah, Christian Marksman talked about earlier how he got into guns at a certain point. I'm glad he shared that side of the story, because for me, I didn't really ever experience that. I kind of grew up with a gun in my hand, to be honest with you. And I've always shot, and I've always just kind of made do with what I had. Back in the day, 7.62 by 39. It was the cheapest ammo. It was the cheapest gun. Got my first gun, 1994, SKS, 7.62 by 39. And Cabela's was normally $99 for 1,000 rounds, but they would put a sale on a couple times a summer, and it'd be $59.99 for 1,000 rounds of 7.62 by 39. And I had a lot of fun with that. And I can't say like completely learned to shoot, but that's kind of where, as a young man, teenager, where I kind of really started to learn to shoot with a $100 rifle that everyone said sucked. Well, not everyone, but people with money would say it sucked, and it's this and it's that. Hey, that's what I had. That's what I grew up with. And I'll tell you what, man, I'd give anything right now to be able to go out and buy 1,000 rounds of ammo for $60. And I know you guys would too, but it's all in perspective. Because at that point in time, I think minimum wage was like $4.15 an hour. And that's what I was making, and just kind of barely get my feet wet. So I guess you have to all put it into perspective. But yeah, I've had fun with all kinds of stuff back in the day. And, I'm pretty eclectic at this point. I really like, I like all kinds of stuff. I really do. I like these little pistols, these modern day pistols. I like modern day rifles. I love an SKS. When I told you guys earlier, I'm like, AK is probably my favorite gun, kind of. Well, really, it's this simple. The SKS is actually still probably my favorite gun. I'll be honest with you guys. My favorite rifle, followed by the AK. Now, there's reasons why one might be a little better than the other, but maybe it's just like your first love, right? My first love was a SKS, and it's still actually right up there. All right, I'm just going to say bye to you guys real quick. I've been on for over 2 hours, and I started late tonight. So I heard from a friend of mine, Space Texan, John Crump, texted me that it just might be your birthday. And if it is, very happy birthday to you, especially since your first rifle was an SKS. I knew I liked you. Now I know I do for a fact. First rifle was an SKS. And I think a lot of you guys are chiming in right now. And you're like, heck yeah, man. My first gun was an SKS too, but we can brag about it because they're fun guns, right? You can brag about it all you want. Heck yeah. Shred Wizard. He says, Tex, you're definitely dating 2A. Come on, man. You know the thing. It's pretty hard to get a date with me, man. Pretty hard. I'm pretty tough to get to. Pretty well. Definitely not in the dating situation. How you doing, Tree Guy? What's happening, man? He said, hey, I'd like to see a vid on your lawn care setup. I should do that. I should do that on my other channel, actually. I haven't done videos on there in a while. He said, I've given up my tree service business due to health issues. Well, that sucks, man. And recently took up a lawn service. Okay, well, hopefully that goes good for you. Would like some pointers and info. Thanks. Anybody into landscaping or commercial lawn care? Maybe over on my other channel, Patriot EDU, by the way. I've not put up videos in a while, guys, but I plan on putting a few on there again very soon just to kind of keep it active, because you never know when this one right here could come knocking. See this? She could come knocking at any minute, couldn't she? So Patriot EDU, it's called. That's the second channel. You guys might want to go give it a look just in case you wake up one day and you're like, 2A EDU's gone. What am I going to do with my life? Well, you'll be totally fine if you never see me again. But if you missed me and Susan came knocking, you might find me over at Patriot EDU, right? And I do need to get some more videos up on there soon. First weapon, firearm, was a Smith & Wesson 357. And that's a nice looking fish, man. Look at that. Jeez. Yeah. That's cool how he's holding it too. That's funny. I like that picture. You have a great weekend too. Denny's plant-based journey. Happy birthday to you. Love you as well. Definitely. Good night, David Greenwell. We've got Wiley Coyote. Kind of coyote, but spelled different. What's happening? James Kawasaki. My first rifle was an AR. Awesome. You're probably a lot younger than me, James. So it would have been an SKS if you were like 15 years old in 94. But he's a young buck. So he went with the AR. That's awesome, man. Taurus. No, you don't have to be sorry. I didn't take it wrong. That's why I just said, hey, some people like me. Some people don't. I'm glad to know you were joking, though. Thanks for letting me know, man. Yeah, I must admit, I like the guy that left. See, like I said, so you clarified, and now this one comes back. I think he's joking too, though. Yeah, you're just a young buck, but it's all good, man. Dude, back in the day. Oh, James Kawasaki. Oh, I guess he is about my age. Whatever, man. Come on, man. Why are you looking so young in your picture? Messing with me. Dude looks like he's like 28, and he's like, oh, I'm a young buck. I'm 44. No, you just probably got into guns later than me. Scott Plagueman, what's happening, Scott? Nice to see you, dude. America the Free. First gun was a 22 LR. First gun I ever shot was a 22 long rifle. Heck yeah, man. Good night, Rick Nieper. Nice to see you. Space Texan. I'm not gay. I don't know if Space Texan's a guy or a girl. Doesn't matter. I love all of you. I love Jane Locke. She's definitely a woman. I also love Rick Nieper, and he's my good friend, and there you guys go. Just much love all the way around because there's just too much hate everywhere. You know what I'm saying? James Kawasaki, give me a break. He looks like he's 28. He's 44. Come on, man. Get that guy out of here. I've had enough for tonight. All right. Thanks, man. Are you streaming tonight, Band Talk, about 1 a.m. Eastern time? I'm not trying to pin you into it if you're not gonna. But I think it's a shame that not as many people have been watching you because I like your stuff. And you want to know the real reason, dude? Right here. Right here will try to prevent you from ever having a successful stream because that's what this is. And Band Talk is streaming at 1 a.m. Eastern time. And if you like him, great. If you don't like him, I'm sure he's fine with that too. But I like his channel, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I am going to get a drink. And America the Free, he's only 58. He's looking good too, man. All right, guys, I'm out of here. And Papa says, shout out to my brother for his birthday today. So shout out, man, in Scotland to you and your brother. The bumper sticker is awesome. I'm not like much of a businessman, so I don't know how to sell this, but I did pay for them with my own money. So I'll have these available once I figure out physically how to do it. If you guys think this would be cool, it'll help the channel a little bit, but I don't know what I'm doing. I just know how to come on here and talk about guns, and the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, but I'll figure it out. All right, guys, I appreciate all of you. I had a great time tonight. And you know what? I haven't said this in a while, but you know what's happening to me? I'm getting ready to say bye, and I'm already looking forward to next week. So I'll see you guys in the meantime in a couple regular videos, and then I'll be on next Friday to stream. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. And shout out to Band Talk. Love you too, man. Take it easy, guys.